At least 17 killed in a jeep accident in western Nepal's Rolpa, passengers travelling from Rukum to attend local fair. Nepal's president issues cooperative ordinance. Government says proposed ordinance is aimed at strengthening good governance and transparency. Kathmandu authorities to begin clearance of encroached settlements from tomorrow. Residents urged to vacate by morning. Nepal moves to fortnightly pay for civil servants. Budget and procedural hurdles raise concerns over smooth implementation. Trump warns Iran blockade can last months. Oil prices soar more than 7% to a 4-year high. And Atletico Madrid holds a 1-1 draw against Arsenal in Champions League semi-final first leg. PSG beats Bayern Munich 5-0. Hello there, I'm Smitugi Singh Tamang and this is NTV World Primetime News. We're coming to you live from Kathmandu at 1900 hours Nepal time. Elsewhere it's 13:15 in London, 22:15 in Tokyo and just after midnight in Sydney. The details now. At least 17 persons have been killed in a jeep accident in Tawang rural municipality of Rolpa in western Nepal. The jeep was on the way to Jaldala Fair in the district. One person has been reported to be injured. The jeep was carrying passengers travelling from Rukum to attend a fair in Jaldala when the accident occurred. According to Police Inspector Ramchandra Bagali from the Area Police Office Tawang, the jeep fell approximately 800 meters off the road. Rescue operations are still ongoing. However, due to rainfall, the rescue efforts have been facing difficulties. Nepal's President Ramchandra Paudel has issued the Cooperative First Amendment Ordinance 2083 on Thursday. President Paudel, on the recommendation of the Council of Ministers, issued the ordinance in accordance with Article 114(1) of the Constitution, informed Ritesh Kumar Shakya, the spokesperson for the Office of the President. Nepal's government has defended its decision to recommend 6 ordinances to the president, stating that the measures are aimed at strengthening good governance, transparency and citizen-focused service delivery. In a clarification issued after criticism from opposition parties, the government said the ordinances are intended to align with provisions related to the removal of politically appointed public officials and to reform key areas of public administration. According to the statement, the ordinances seek to ensure transparent and competitive appointments in public bodies, curb partisan politicization, accelerate infrastructure development, return savings to small cooperative depositors, and improve the delivery of land, revenue, and surveying services. Deepa Dahal, Press and Research Advisor to Prime Minister Balendra Shah, said the proposed measures are designed to make the process of recommending appointments to constitutional bodies more systematic, transparent and free from political influence. Opposition parties, however, have criticized the move, accusing the government of attempting to bypass Parliament and rule through ordinances, particularly after recommendations involving the Constitutional Council and other bodies. Authorities in Kathmandu have announced that all settlements built through encroachment within the district will be cleared starting tomorrow. The District Administration Office Kathmandu issued a public notice stating that settlements established illegally on the government, public trust or guti or privately owned land across various locations in the district will be vacated from 7 a.m. onward. The administration has urged residents to leave the areas before the deadline. Officials said many of the affected settlements have been occupying land unlawfully for years. Despite large tracts of land, estimated at around 1,800 ropenis within Kathmandu Metropolitan City KMC, having been registered under private names, they have yet to be brought back under government control. Authorities also said that government, public and guti lands transferred to individuals nearly 30 years ago have still not been reclaimed. The move follows recent eviction drives carried out over the weekend in Thapatali's Goidigaon and the Manohara River corridor, where informal settlements built along riverbanks were dismantled. Following the evictions, displaced families have been temporarily housed in hotels, shelters and ashrams with arrangements made for food. However, many of those affected remain uncertain about their future, citing the lack of a clear long-term rehabilitation plan from the government. As the government is set to begin clearing encroached government land in the Kathmandu's Bolko area starting tomorrow, Assistant Chief District Officer of Kathmandu, Muktiram Rizal, said the clearance operation will be carried out in coordination with local authorities. He added that arrangements will be made by local governments to provide temporary shelter for citizens who do not own any land.
कर्मशः जहाँ जति यो जबरजस्ती सरकारी सार्वजनिक जग्गा चाहिँ लिएर अव्यवस्थित रूपमा बसेका बस्तीहरू छन् र त्यसरी बनाएर अरूलाई भाडामा लगाएका पनि छन् धेरै घरहरू त्यस्ता संरचनाहरूलाई चाहिँ अब भोलिदेखि हटाउने काम सुरु हुन्छ र अब अहिले काठमाडौँ जिल्ला भित्रको कर्मशः सबै ठाउँमा हटाउने भन्ने छ र त्यसमा चाहिँ अहिले हामीसँग उपलब्ध स्रोत साधन अनुसार चाहिँ भोलिदेखि बल्खु एरियाबाट हाम्रो सुरु गर्ने अहिलेसम्मको योजना रहेको छ र कर्मशः सबै स्थानीय तहहरूले यसको विवरणहरू सङ्कलन गरिराख्नु भएको छ र स्थानीय तहसँग चाहिँ समन्वय गरेर र उहाँहरूले आइडेन्टिफाई गरेका क्षेत्रहरूमा चाहिँ हटाउनमा अब जिल्ला सुरक्षा समितिको तर्फबाट आवश्यक सुरक्षा सम्बन्धी सहयोग चाहिँ यस कार्यालयले उपलब्ध गराउँछ।
We're going for a short break here. More news coming up. Do stay with us. You're watching NTV World Primetime News, and now the other updates. Nepal Supreme Court has ordered the government to expedite investigations into transitional justice cases, directing authorities to swiftly conclude complaints filed with the Truth and Reconciliation Commission (TRC) and the Commission for the Investigation of Enforced Disappeared Persons. The ruling was issued Tuesday by a constitutional bench led by Acting Chief Justice Sapana Pradhan Malla alongside 4 other justices. The court also upheld the constitutionality of the investigation of the Enforced and Disappeared Persons and Truth and Reconciliation Commission Act 3rd Amendment 2081, stating it aligns with international standards and prior court rulings. The verdict comes in response to a writ petition challenging the amendment and calling for faster progress on long pending cases from Nepal's conflict era. The decision is seen as a significant push to advance transitional justice efforts and address victims' demands for truth, accountability, and closure. Nepal has ruled out a nationwide shift to fortnightly salary payments for civil servants. However, procedural hurdles in budget planning and execution risk slowing implementation. Sabika Shrestha brings more.
The government of Nepal's proposal to shift civil servant salary payments from a monthly cycle to a 15-day system had generated both optimism among employees and concern over implementation feasibility. The reform is intended to improve household cash flow, enhance liquidity in the economy, and encourage consumer spending by dividing monthly salaries into 2 installments. It is being positioned as part of broader efforts to modernize public financial management.
We are trying to implement this in a phased manner, and in the first phase, as I mentioned earlier, it has been implemented in the ministry and the FCCU. Second phase within the federal ministries and departments. As you mentioned, that in the local level, we need some sort of adjustment in the system. Sutra is being implemented in the local level for all the financial management. For making updates in the Sutra, I think it will take some time, 3-4 months. the technical team has already initiated the preparation work for it. I think to be very objective, it will take 3-4 months to make the system, to update the system. But for the full implementation in all the local level, I think it will require for 5-6 months. Within 5-6 months, and we can implement the system in the local level.
However, officials acknowledge that the transition faces significant procedural and technical hurdles. The Financial Comptroller General Office (FCGO) has begun preliminary adjustments, but aligning the new payment structure with existing annual budgeting, accounting systems, and fund release mechanisms remains complex. Nepal's federal structure adds further difficulty with coordination required across federal, provincial, and local levels. Delays in budget approvals, administrative capacity gaps, and bureaucratic inefficiencies are expected to slow nationwide implementation. While civil servants have largely welcomed the move for improving short-term financial flexibility, analysts caution that splitting salaries does not increase real income or purchasing power, limiting its broader economic impact.
मलाई चाहिँ यो राम्रो नै हो जस्तो लागेको छ। एकातिर बजार चलायमान हुन्छ, यसले गर्दा चाहिँ हाम्रै देशको अर्थतन्त्रलाई चाहिँ अलि सबल बनाउनका लागि सरकारले गरेको पहल ठिकै हो कि जस्तो पनि लागेको छ।
Critics also warn that without deeper reforms in public financial management, payroll restructuring alone may strain administrative systems rather than improve efficiency. As a result, questions remain over whether the policy can be fully rolled out within the current fiscal year. Sabika Shrestha with camera person Samir Thapa reporting for NTV World.
To assess the practicality and economic implications of Nepal's proposed bi-monthly salary system, we are to be joined in live by economist and assistant professor at Kathmandu University, Dr. Neeraj Paudel. Dr. Paudel, welcome to NTV World, and we would like to start by asking how feasible is it for Nepal's federal, provincial and local governments to implement a 15-day salary cycle? Dr. Paudel, can you hear me? Dr. Paudel? Well, we were about to have this assessment regarding the practicality and economic assessment implications of Nepal's proposed bi-monthly salary system to Kathmandu University assistant professor and economist Dr. Neeraj Paudel. Dr. Paudel. We are having some technical issue. We'll get back to you in a while. Now, let's move on to other news. 3 top officials of Nepal's oldest university, Tribhuvan University, have stepped down from their positions. Vice Chancellor Professor Dr. Deepak Aryal, Dean Professor Dr. Khadga Kesi, and Registrar Professor Dr. Kedar Rizal submitted their resignations to the Prime Minister, who also serves as the university's Chancellor today. According to Dean Kesi, the resignations have been formally registered at the Prime Minister's office and were made to support the functioning of the new government. The move follows a call by National Independent Party Chairman, Rashtriya Swatantra Party Chairman Rabi Lamichhane, urging officials appointed under the previous administration to step down. The cabinet has also recommended an ordinance to the president aimed at cancelling all political appointments, signalling broader institutional changes ahead. In Nepal's eastern city of Biratnagar, customs revenue has taken a sharp hit as hundreds of trucks remain stranded due to the government's enforcement of mandatory maximum retail price labeling. Since Tuesday, around 250 containers carrying goods worth nearly $32.9 million, including garments, machinery parts and construction materials that have been halted at the customs checkpoint. On Wednesday, the office collected only $341,000 in revenue, nearly 10% lower than expected. Customs officials say goods without MRP labels cannot be cleared under the Consumer Protection Act 2075. While importers call the rule impractical, industrialists in the Sunsari-Morang corridor have welcomed it, citing transparency and consumer protection. For now, the standoff continues, leaving stranded goods piling up and revenue collection disrupted. Back to the WhatsApp session. To assess the practicality and economic implications of Nepal's proposed bi-monthly salary system, we are to be joined in live by economist and assistant professor at Kathmandu University, Dr. Neeraj Paudel. Dr. Paudel, can you hear me? Dr. Paudel, am I audible to you? As much as this issue could be interesting to many, we are going to talk about the assessment of the practicality and economic implications of if this proposed bi-monthly salary would be implemented. Dr. Paudel, are you with us? Dr. Paudel? Time for international updates, but before that, to take a short break. U.S. President Donald Trump has warned that the ongoing American naval blockade of Iran could continue for months, escalating tensions and rattling global energy markets. Speaking during discussions with oil executives, Trump indicated the blockade on Iranian ports would remain in place as part of efforts to pressure Tehran, with diplomacy between the two sides largely stalled. The prolonged standoff has already sent oil prices soaring amid fears of supply disruptions through the strategically critical Strait of Hormuz, a key route for global crude shipments. Trump maintained that the blockade is more effective than direct military strikes and warned Iran to concede to U.S. demands, including restrictions on its nuclear program. It is pointed out the Possibility of a month-long blockade has heightened concerns over inflation, energy shortages, and a potential global economic slowdown if the crisis persists. Meanwhile, oil prices climbed sharply today, rising more than 7% to reach their highest level in 4 years, with benchmark crude crossing above $126 per barrel. The sudden spike comes amid heightened concerns over potential disruptions in global oil supply routes, fueling volatility across international energy markets. Traders reacted strongly to developments that have raised fears of tighter supply conditions in the near term. It is a rally reflects a growing uncertainty in global markets as investors weigh the risk of prolonged instability in key oil-producing and transit regions. The surge has also intensified inflation concerns, with higher energy costs expected to impact transportation, manufacturing, and consumer prices worldwide. Market experts warn that if supply pressures persist, oil prices could remain elevated, adding further strain to already fragile global economic conditions. Amid the sharp rise in oil prices following the escalating war in the Middle East, raising global alarm over energy supply and economic stability, the head of the International Energy Agency, Fatih Birol, said the spike in crude prices is already putting pressure on economies worldwide, with risks of rising inflation, higher fuel costs, and slower growth.
The world is facing the biggest energy crisis in the history, and what is happening now shows that unfortunately we were right. The oil markets, gas markets are going through big difficulties. Oil prices now, when I looked last time, over $120, which is putting a lot of pressure on many countries. In addition to oil and gas, fertilizers, which is very important for developing countries, petrochemicals, sulfur, they are all interrupted. So our world is facing a major energy and economic challenge.
European Union spokeswoman Anita Hipper says that the deployment of U.S. troops in Europe is in Washington's interest after U.S. President Donald Trump threatened to reduce force numbers in Germany following a row with German Chancellor Friedrich Merz over the Iran war. Hipper adds that the United States is a vital partner in contributing to Europe's security and defense.
On the question, we will reiterate our position, which is long-standing in terms of U.S. being a vital partner in contributing to Europe's security and defense, and the fact that the deployment of U.S. troops in Europe is also in the U.S. interest in support of its global role. At the same time, we have recognized, and this is what we have been doing, namely investing in our own security and defense. And EU member states that are NATO allies are also increasing their defense spending in an unprecedented pace.
Press freedom has declined to its lowest level in 25 years, according to the latest annual ranking released by Reporters Without Borders, RSF. RSF Director General Thibaut Brutin warned that journalists across the world are increasingly facing legal and political pressure, with their work being criminalized through what he described as an expanding set of repressive laws. He said more journalists are reporting that their reporting is being targeted by authorities, contributing to a broader global deterioration in media freedom conditions. The report also highlighted a notable decline in the United States, which fell 7 places in the rankings, underscoring concerns over growing challenges to press independence, even in established democracies. RSF said the overall trend reflects a widening global crisis for journalism, with increasing restrictions, intimidation, and legal constraints placed on media professionals in multiple countries. More from the international front and sports news coming up after the short breather. The United States plans to issue a limited edition passport featuring President Donald Trump, marking a major break from long-standing norms. The U.S. State Department says the special design is to commemorate the 250th anniversary of the United States Declaration of Independence. The passport will include Trump's image over the historic text, along with his signature. Officials say the edition will be available in limited numbers through in-person appointments in Washington at no extra cost. The move has drawn criticism from Democrats who accuse the administration of politicizing government institutions. If implemented, Trump would become the first sitting U.S. president to appear in American passports, a step rarely seen in democracies worldwide. Bali's largest landfill has been declared off limits for organic waste from the beginning of April as authorities moved to enforce a long-standing ban on open dumping sites. However, the policy shift has led to an immediate waste management crisis with no adequate alternative disposal systems in place to handle organic garbage. As a result, trash has begun piling up in streets and residential areas across parts of the island. Local reports indicate that accumulated waste is attracting rats and other pests, while in several locations, frustrated residents have resorted to burning garbage. The practice has produced thick, acrid smoke, raising growing concerns over air quality and public health risks. Europe's most powerful rocket, Ariane 6, has blasted off from Guiana Space Center, carrying a new batch of broadband satellites into orbit. The launch conducted by Ariane Space sent 32 satellites for Amazon's Amazon LEO network into low Earth orbit. The mission, known as VA268, marks the 7th flight of Ariane 6 and only the second using its most powerful configuration. Amazon LEO, previously called Project Kuiper, is designed to compete with Starlink, operated by SpaceX. While smaller in scale, the network is expected to deploy around 3,200 satellites over 80 launches. Thursday's mission follows a recent launch by United Launch Alliance using an Atlas V rocket as the race to expand global satellite internet coverage intensifies. Time now for Sports Update. Atletico Madrid has secured a 1-1 draw against Arsenal in a tightly contested UEFA Champions League semi-final first leg clash. The result leaves the semi-final finally balanced heading into the second leg, with both clubs still firmly in contention for a place in the final. In other semi-final first leg encounter, Paris Saint-Germain PSG secured a dramatic 5-4 victory over Bayern Munich in a high-scoring UEFA Champions League, keeping its hopes of reaching the final firmly alive. Despite Bayern's strong response and 4 away goals, the French side held on in a tightly contested finish, setting up a decisive second leg where the aggregate score remains finely balanced heading into the return fixture. Marathon record breaker Sebastian Sawi has received the Hero's Welcome Home in Kenya, with fans thronging the airport in Nairobi and the country's president giving him a cash and a car. Sawi posted the first ever sub 2-hour marathon time of 1 hour 59 minutes 30 seconds. He won the London Marathon on Sunday, shattering one of athletics' most elusive barriers and improving on the previous world record by more than a minute. The homecoming also reflects the country's strong sporting culture, and Kipchoge's enduring statue as one of the greatest distance runners in the history. And before we wrap up, here's a reminder of our top stories. At least 17 killed in a jeep accident in western Nepal's Rolpa, passengers travelling from Rukum to attend local fair. Nepal's president issues cooperative ordinance. Government says proposed ordinance is aimed at strengthening good governance and transparency. Kathmandu authorities to begin clearance of encroached settlements from tomorrow. Residents urged to vacate by morning. Nepal moves to fortnightly pay for civil servants. Budget and procedural hurdles raise concerns over smooth implementation. Trump warns Iran blockade can last months. Oil prices soar more than 7% to a 4-year high. And Atletico Madrid holds a 1-1 draw against Arsenal in Champions League semi-final first leg. PSG beats Bayern Munich 5-0. And that's it for this edition of Primetime News. Our next bulletin will be at 2200 hours Nepal time. Do join us through our social media and get the latest updates from our official website, nepaltelevision.com. Thank you for staying with us. Have a wonderful evening ahead.
Welcome to the studios of NTV World in Kathmandu. Public Service Broadcasting PSB Nepal's new initiative to make Nepal more visible and audible to the global audience. Welcome on board.
This is NTV World, facts that speak, insights that matter.
Telling the stories of a changing planet. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Exploring the heartbeat of Nepali creativity. This is NTV World.
The power of story shaped by technology. NTV World.
Unearthing Nepal's hidden heritage. Discovering the timeless Nepal.
Telling stories that endure across centuries. Where culture breathes, stories bloom.
When the world moves, we make a sense of it.
NTV World. Taste of Nepal. Every recipe, every flavor tells the story.
Journalism in the digital age. Fast, focused, verified.
Stories hold power. Stories reflecting life. Stories of the hinterlands. Reporting for NTV World.
This is NTV World. Welcome to News Hour.
This is NTV World. Welcome to Primetime News.
One story at a time.
Crossing borders, connecting voices, where Nepal meets the world in dialogue. This is NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Voices that connect Nepal to the world, bringing perspective, region and relevance to every story. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Stand by. Mic is on.
3, 2, 1, cue.
We are NTV World.
आँखामा हेर यो माहौल तिम्रो शक्ति मेरो आत्मा the golden light that starts to glow the quiet peace that helps you grow this power comes from deep inside a rising never ending tide this is me this is my soul ma make my spirit whole
not only the female perspective as a man हामी आफैले चाहिँ आफ्नो त्यो एउटा चाहिँ त्यो एउटा चाहिँ म भन्ने शक्ति एउटा चाहिँ हामीले आफैले बुझेर त्यो मनन गरेर चाहिँ काम गर्नुपर्छ जस्तो लाग्छ.
Her works more says about the inner emotions and psychological world of the woman through a lot of imagery and a symbol like a third eye.
Pain has to support art, otherwise art is not seen and known by others.
It feels like women are the universe and they are the ones who creates, and without them this universe is empty.
Look inside ourselves, and look inside our own id to see what we are and how we navigate in the world.
नयाँ palette पनि आएको छ उहाँको, very light biscuit color जस्तैमा with very minimalistic lines.
Ma has always been so close. Like this exhibition is also like a reflection for me.
मनको दियोलाई चाहिँ बालिराख्नुपर्छ.
Darbar Marg. It is the pulse of our city, loud, fast, and constantly moving. But just a few steps away, behind these doors at 108 Art Gallery, the world changes. The noise of the street fades into a profound golden silence. For over 3 decades, Irina Tamrakar has been a defining voice in Nepali contemporary art. Known globally for her Third Eye series, she now pivots inward. Welcome to Creative Forum. Today we explore Ma, myself, that me within us.
यो सोलो आउनुभन्दा पहिला म निकै वर्ष चाहिँ धेरै वर्ष थर्ड आई सिरिजमा काम गरेको थिएँ. थर्ड आईमा चाहिँ कलरहरू पनि डिफ्रेन्ट थियो, अलिकति पावरमा वुमेन्स पावर भनेर हामी महिलाहरूको पावर, यङ केटीहरूको पावर, त्यो हिसाबले चाहिँ मैले धेरैवटा पावरको हिसाबले चाहिँ शक्ति चाहियो क्या हामी महिलालाई हैन. त्यही हिसाबले शक्तिको आधारमा मैले रातो कलरहरू चाहिँ हामी नेपाली कल्चर हिसाबले पनि शक्ति नै हो, टिकाहरू लाउँछौँ. त्यो कन्सेप्टमा धेरै वर्ष काम गरिसकेपछि तेस्रो नेत्र हामी महिलालाई चाहिन्छ क्या हैन. हामी एवेर हुनुपर्छ, समाजमा हामी फाइट गर्नुपर्छ, समाजमा हामी आफ्नो हिसाबले अघि बढ्न सक्नुपर्छ भन्ने कन्सेप्टले म अघि बढेको थिएँ. मैले त्यो कन्सेप्टमा पेन्टिङ गरेँ. अनि अहिले आएर चाहिँ थर्ड आई भित्र पनि मलाई अब अझ खोजी गर्न मन लाग्यो हैन. म भनेर चाहिँ फिल आइसकेपछि मैले म किन नराख्ने अब यसमा थर्ड आईको बिचमा भनेर. अनि देवनागरीलाई मलाई चाहिँ होइन कि अलिकति रचना लिपि, नेपाल प्रचलित लिपि, त्यसलाई चाहिँ मको रूपमा त्यति फरक त छैन, तर अलिअलि फरकको हिसाबले चाहिँ म राखेको हो.
Well, I'm very impressed. That way I'm quite familiar with the art of Edina. She's been long familiar to me as an artist. Now, since she was struggling to establish herself, I knew her. Now, she's well established now. I feel very proud on her progress. In modern version of art, what is needed to explore, continue to explore more and more. It must speak your mind. So that's what she's been doing for a long time. Whereas others do choose different motifs and different kinds of things for their expression, visual expression, or smooth your impulses. But unlike others, Irina has chosen only one particular theme, one motif for a long time. That is a woman face. Maybe she's trying to see herself in a mirror. And this is very unique. Let me tell you very frankly, this is very unique. Now I thought, how could one explore on one particular motif for a long, long time? But she did well. So what we need in art is to continually express, to explore, then and get the diversity out of it. But she did it, and she's genuinely an artist.
I feel like when I see the works, I feel like her works more says about the inner emotions and psychological world of the woman through a lot of imagery and a symbol like a third eye, and also through more about her very personal visual language. So I do see these things, and it's more about woman's resilience that I see in her works.
This transition isn't just thematic, it's a shift in energy.
If you dive deeply on her works, you'll notice the dots and the aesthetic parts of her work and the colors she plays with, along with the motifs of women. They all are very attractive. At the same time, she gives the message that women are powerful. Women have the courage, women have the strength to do whatever they need to do. And moreover, she focuses on the feminine aspect as a universe. Like if you focus on a painting, there are so many dots, right? So those each, if you stand still and look at her work for some time, you will feel those dots are the universe. And the female she paints on the canvas, it feels like women are the universe and they are the ones who creates, and without them this universe is empty.
हेर्दाखेरि लुक्स बबल तर त्यो लाइट हो के हामीले लाइटलाई परको लाइटलाई हेर्यो भने अलि ब्लड हुन्छ नि धमिलो किसिमले शार्प देखिन्न त्यो लाइटको सिम्बल चाहिँ त्यही हो अनि किन यसरी भयो भन्दाखेरि मलाई देखाउनु छ कि हामी कोही पनि सबैजनाले चाहिँ मनको दियोलाई चाहिँ बालिराख्नुपर्छ हैन मनमा नदेखिने बत्ती त देखिन्न मनको बत्ती त्यसमा धागो पनि देखिन्न तेल पनि देखिन्न त्यसैले हामीले चाहिँ के गर्नुपर्छ भन्दा मनको दियो बालिराख्नलाई हामीले तेल थपिरहनु पर्यो धागो चाहिँ थपिरहनु पर्यो सारिरहनु पर्यो भन्ने कन्सेप्टले चाहिँ अब त्यो चिजलाई कसरी देखाउने हैन त्यो कन्सेप्टले चाहिँ मैले अनि त्यो बत्तीलाई सिम्बोलिक गरेर त्यो बत्ती भनेको मनको बत्ती हो है आँखा चिम्लिरहेछ नि हैन खोलि पनि रहेछ त्यो मनको बत्ती चाहिँ यसरी बत्ती भनेर देखाउन खोजेको मेरो कन्सेप्टमा चाहिँ अब हरेक किसिमबाट त्यो तल माथि तल हैन उठेको जस्तो बबल्स कलरफुल बबल्स जस्तो त्यो चाहिँ त्यसरी देखाउन खोजे अब ठ्याक्कै देखायो भने फेरि पेन्टिङमा टेक्निकली नमिल्न सक्छ नि त कसरी उज्यालो बनाउने भन्ने कुरा हुन्छ अनि यो चाहिँ अलिकति फ्यान्टेसीसँग पनि कनेक्टेड गरिकन
One painting that really struck me was a painting of Mother Earth, where Irina ji has portrayed Mother Earth in a form of a Nepali lady with the elements of earth, like fish, animals, forest, but we cannot see the actual eyes or the features of human feature, but it still gives the vibe of the earthy feeling that that the painting is trying to show. So that is, I think, very interesting of Irina ji to actually give to actually portray Mother Earth in form of her own style.
एरिनाको सिलुएट्स इन टाइम भन्ने एक्जिबिसन भएको थियो सिद्धार्थ आर्ट ग्यालरीमा. It was a very successful show. This face that you see in this exhibition, त्यो चाहिँ नि त्यति समयको बेला चाहिँ नि फर्स्ट टाइम इमर्ज गरेको हो. र द युज अफ गोल्ड टु डिस्प्ले द रिचनेस अफ आवर हेरिटेज, त्यो प्यालेट पनि त्यति बेला नि आएको हो. र त्यसपछिको एक्जिबिसनले मलाई लाग्छ एरिना कोरिया जान पनि सेलेक्ट भएको थियो. अहिले चाहिँ नि नयाँ प्यालेट पनि आएको छ उहाँको, भेरी लाइट बिस्किट कलर जस्तैमा विथ भेरी मिनिमलिस्टिक लाइन्स. कुनै चाहिँ नि तपाईँले यहाँ देख्नुहुन्छ इन अ भेरी लिनियर. त्यो चाहिँ नि मेरो लागि चाहिँ नि एउटा नयाँ डेभलपमेन्ट हो. एन्ड आई होप एरिना कन्टिन्युज विथ दिस एब्स्ट्र्याक्ट लिनियर प्रोसेस जुन अहिले हामीले देखिरहेछौँ काममा. त्यसको चाहिँ नि लार्जर स्केलमा पनि हुनसक्छ. आई लुक फरवर्ड टु सिइङ दोज वर्क्स टु.
I think most of the thing that I praise about the exhibition here is not only this exhibition, but Erina Didi's the way she plays with the color is fabulous, and the way she brings out that inner emotions of the female, that is also tremendous. So these are the things I really get inspired by her works, and also not only about the work, but as an artist, the dedication, the sincerity, the passion, and the humility I really admired of her.
So more, it's a ego, right, or id. So I think when the way we navigate the world is by measuring with our own body, with our own sense of self, right? So that sense of self, that identity is ma, right? So that's how we express I in English or ma in Nepali. But when an individual say ma, that might be in relationship to what is happening at the immediate moment. But when an artist is talking, for example, Erina's work, I think she's talking more than just the sense of herself. She might be speaking to the nature of womanhood and the women's roles in the society. So it's when I look at this work, I think I see it as a collective more, as a 50% of the population in the society, not just Erina.
This is me, this is my soul, Ma, make my spirit whole.
अहिलेको रिसेन्ट यो जुन म सिरिजमा चाहिँ नि मलाई लाग्छ इट्स अबाउट हर एउटा एक्सप्रेसन हो होइन. एउटा फिमेल फर्म छ, सो फिमेल क्यारेक्टर. त्यसमा पनि मोर लाइक मोर फोकस अन द फेसेस होइन, फिमेल फेसेसहरू छ. अनि त्यसमा पनि अलिकति एउटा एग्रेसिभ फिलिङ्सहरू छ यसपालि चाहिँ नि. सो एग्रेसिभ इन अ सेन्स लाइक अहिले समाजमा जुन घटिरहेको घटनाहरू छ त्यसैलाई अलिकति बेस लिएर चाहिँ नि एरिनाले काम गरेको छ यसपालि चाहिँ नि. सो स्पेसली अब भन्नुपर्दा म सिरिज इज बेस्ड अन हर ओन एक्सप्रेसन, ओन लाइक आइडेन्टिटी होइन, त्यसमा बेस भएर काम गरिरहेछन्. सो सियास एक्सप्लोर कलरमा पनि अलिकति डार्कनेस अफ कलर चाहिँ युज गर्नुभएको छ है म सिरिजमा. सो प्रायः चाहिँ नि कलर्सहरू चाहिँ नि ग्रे, ब्ल्याक, त्यसमा पनि फेरि गोल्डन कलर चाहिँ मिक्स गर्नुभएको छ. द्याट्स अ भेरी स्ट्रङ कलर चाहिँ मलाई लाग्छ.
As everybody knows, running a gallery is a very complex and financially challenging thing to do. But still, like my history, my family history, we've always been into art. For like now, regarding my own business, it's been running for more than 40 to 50 years and still running. So this is a small diversification from being an art shop and then to our art gallery. So it's two different streams, but the objective is still one, promoting Nepalese art. It's still a challenge that we to get proper quality buyers, especially in the Nepalese market. And it's a very niche market in Nepal. We've got very handful of people who actually are investing in art. So yeah, that's one of the major problems, because that's a problem for the lack of buyers that we have in Nepal. Giving artists the space that they require to show their artwork. And it's not just one specific artwork that we are promoting. So here in 108, we give a platform to all the different art and artists. So this is a major step that we as a gallery are taking. And we're also trying to promote artist merchandise, where the buyer can actually have the essence of the original artwork, but in a cheaper form, whether it be prints. Like we've tried a couple of things like making puzzles out of the original artwork, where we pay good royalty to the artist. And then gallery, we've got our certain commission, and then the buyer also gets a genuine piece in return.
The only thing that will help to sustain one in this creative field of creative world is continuation. You have to do continuously. You shouldn't be stopping, right? To take rest is okay, but completely shut down is not okay. So that's the key point: continuation, the passion for it, and no matter what there is, we all are struggling in our own ways. And if you are a woman, then you have to struggle twice, right? So continuation is the key for sustaining in this creative scenario. Yeah.
Any creative field is very demanding, and a lot of time the investment in return is not immediate. So that's something I think both the parents and the students or a young generation would have to think about. And they have to have a plan to support their creative practice until the creative practice can support them. And then look for opportunities, not just in Nepal and also outside. Build network, be professional. When they commit to something, they should commit to that and show up, right? So I think the being professional and understanding and having a plan, not just one plan, but the plan one, plan A, plan B, plan C, would be helpful for them. But I think there are a lot more opportunity nowadays, and I wouldn't necessarily be pessimistic about it. But they have to be clear about what their goals are.
Your contemporary समकालीन work is like this, हैन? किनभने हामीले एउटा बनाउँछौँ, तपाईले अर्कै फिल गर्नुहुन्छ, अर्को व्यक्तिले अर्कै गर्नुहुन्छ। जसले हेर्नुहुन्छ उहाँहरूले आफ्नै किसिमले मनन गर्न पाउनु, यो नै विशेष हो, स्पेशलिटी भन्छ नि। हामी सबैले आफूलाई राम्रोसँग आफूभित्र भित्रको मलाई एकचोटि मनन गरिकन राम्रोसित आफूलाई चिन्न पायो भने मेरै पेन्टिङको मेरै मबाट तपाईले पनि आफूलाई खोज्न देख्नुभयो भने मेरो त्यसमा चाहिँ तपाईले सोच्नुभयो भने मैले बनाएको मसँग कनेक्ट हुनुभयो जस्तो मलाई लाग्छ, कनेक्ट हुनुहुन्छ कि जस्तो नि मलाई लाग्छ, र आफूलाई राम्रोसँग सजिलो किसिमबाट अघि बढ्न सक्छ जिन्दगीमा भन्ने जस्तो लाग्छ। त्यही खोज्नुहोस् भन्न चाहन्छु।
This was Irina Tamrakar's More Myself. We hope you were near to finding that more in you from today's episode of Creative Forum.
The golden light that starts to glow, the quiet peace that helps you grow. This power comes from deep inside, a rising, never-ending tide. This is me, this is my soul. Ma, make my spirit whole.
Dai Lake in Karnali province is a geographically remote district, yet rich with untapped potential for tourism. Stepping into Dai Lake, celebrated as a treasure trove of Khas art, culture and heritage, brings a unique sense of joy. Journey begins amid its natural beauty, leading us toward Mahabu Rural Municipality. As we leave the mid-hill highway, the terrain becomes challenging, with hilly, muddy roads demanding patience and skill. Long lines of vehicles crawl carefully along the cliffs, reflecting both the difficulty of the route and the enduring devotion of Mahabu Dham. Many travelers choose to continue on foot, advancing step by step toward their destination. Passing through Channa, Dasarathi, Okharbanz, Bhavsaini, Noli and Unipada, pilgrims ascend the slopes toward Lisni before finally reaching Mahabu Patan. Pilgrims from Dai Lake and nearby districts often arrive late at night, having begun their journey the previous day. The path to Mahabu Dham is thrilling, adventurous and breathtaking, made even more dramatic by the steady rain, drifting fog and steep inclines. Yet the journey itself feels uniquely rewarding. Mahabu Lake or Mahabu Dham, located within Mahabu Rural Municipality, is a remarkable place of natural beauty, religious significance and cultural heritage. Situated at an altitude of 4,200 meters, the area is adorned with emerald lakes, grazing flocks of sheep and goats, and a sky that dances with Himalayan mist. Every year, during Janai Purnima, a grand fair is held here, drawing thousands of devotees from across the region. Mahabu Dham's spiritual importance is deeply rooted in the ancient worship of Lord Shiva, revered here as the origin site. From Mahabu Lake, visitors can enjoy magnificent views of Api and Sai Palhimal, and on clear days, even the plains of Bardia. Given its religious importance and natural splendor, Mahabu Dham holds immense potential as a religious tourism destination. Improving the rough, narrow access roads is essential for supporting this growth. Mahabu Dham is more than a pilgrimage site. It is a confluence of culture, history, faith, and nature. To truly appreciate its significance, one must visit Mahabu Lake at least once, immerse oneself in its natural beauty, and experience the serene environment that leaves a lasting impression. Hello there and welcome to a brand new episode of Insight here on NTV World. In Nepal, banks are overflowing with cash, yet the economy seems to be in a deadlock. We are spending more on our past debt than our future infrastructure, and as LDC graduation is just months away, India is securing massive trade deals with the European Union. Nepal's exports are staring at a cliff. Add to it a costly Middle East war to the mix, and our remittance lifeline seems to be under fire. To look at the fiscal monetary reality of this national and global juncture, today we have an economist who knows the engine room the best. Former Executive Director of Nepal Rashtra Bank, Nara Bahadur Thapa. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, ma'am.
When the new government was being formed, you mentioned somewhere that the economy was in stagnation and is in deadlock. It's been a few weeks that the new government took over. How do you see the country moving ahead?
See, for the last 3-4 years, economic growth has been less than 5%, so below 4%. So during the last 30 years or so, average economic growth of Nepal was 4.3%. And recent years, it is not performing well compared to other countries. For example, India over the last so many years, for the last 10 years or so, generating economic growth of 7 to 8%. So peer countries such as Cambodia, Bangladesh, they were growing at a higher rate. Unfortunately, after COVID, initial years we picked up, but in the last 4 years or so, the economy is getting stagnated, and the economy hasn't recovered from the COVID and the events, other shocks Nepal encountered in recent times. So there is no lift-off, there is no recovery, there is no turnaround in the economic side of the country.
Mm-hmm. With Dr. Swarming Wagle heading the finance ministry, he's tried to in fact repeal a few laws and also sweeping the road to move ahead. How have you viewed so far the steps that the ministry has taken under his leadership?
After the new government that has been come into power has done a good thing. It has issued 100-point governance reforms, 100 points governance reforms, which is essential, which is necessary for the country as a whole, for the economic development and for that matter economic growth. These 100 points governance reforms are basically administrative reforms. They are the regulatory reforms. They are related to World Bank's doing business, ease of doing business indicators, right? So government reforms is prerequisite for accelerated economic growth. For that matter, for the private sector, participation, increased participation and development, private sector development. But governance reforms alone, although necessary, are not sufficient to accelerate economic growth. So government should have adopted, the new government should have adopted two-pronged strategy. One, governance reforms, which they have done it, with the assumption of power at Singapore. They have done it, but they haven't done, they are yet to initiate some economic reforms which are needed. Governance reforms are necessary, but not sufficient conditions. So unless and until new government issues a package of economic reforms, as they did for governance reforms, there won't be a lift of economic growth. So governance reforms is the doing business of the private sector. They help reduce cost of doing business, but they do not give direction the economy should head for. So economic reforms are needed to initiate the economic transformation, to increase competitiveness, to take advantage of the comparative advantage that we have in different sectors, and to change the structure of the economy and to leapfrog the private sector participation and jump up economic growth. So they should have, to begin with, issued both of these packages, governance reform package and economic reforms package. So budget is coming, they are preparing budget. Let's hope they incorporate the second package, the second pillar of reforms, overall reforms, that is the economic reforms in the budget, in the forthcoming budget.
Dr. Wagle, when taking office, had committed of releasing a white paper, which has yet to happen. Do you think there are certain findings or realities that are hard to swallow that's delaying the release?
That I do not know. The promise was met publicly, so that promise is yet to be delivered to Nepali people. So I do not want to comment on the delay of the release of the white paper, but it would have been better had the Ministry of Finance issued some 20 pages or 15 pages or 10 pages white paper showing the challenges and indicating the reforms the new government is initiating. That would have been given the direction to the private sector to move forward.
This economic reform package that you just mentioned, how does it look like? If you could give a few details that could maybe act as a roadmap to the government.
See, early 90s, Nepal had the first generation reforms, which included the increased participation of the private sector, opening up the various economic sectors for the private sector participation, for the private sector investment, banking, insurance, capital markets, the civil aviation, agriculture, every field was open for the private sector participation. And the focus was on market forces to work for the high rate of economic growth, to generate economic growth. So the conclusion of Washington Consensus were implemented in Nepal, and focusing on LPG. LPG stands for liberalization, privatization, and globalization. That was the package of economic reforms introduced in the early 90s. So in a way, Nepali economy benefited from the first generation reforms. We can see the development, modernization of banking sector, financial sector, telecom sectors, civil aviation sector, hydropower sectors. So all this resulted because of the opening up of the economy to private sector participation. But things have changed, but that didn't lead to industrialization, that didn't lead to improved efficiency and competitiveness, that didn't lead to strengthening the institution, especially regulatory agencies. So there are some shortfalls because of which market forces could not work for economic development. They could not make Nepali economy competitive internationally, and as a result, we are seeing deindustrialization and a rising level of trade deficit and massive scale of unemployment. And economic growth has been very meager. As I said before, to the last 30 years or so, average economic growth of Nepal is just 4.3%. So there is a need for second generation reforms. We should focus on 3-4 things. One, government should try to strengthen institutions. Without strong institutions, private sector does not work. As we see what is happening in same market, big shots are being caught in the wrongdoings, right? So markets could not deliver because institutions were very weak. So new government in the second generation reforms, if they initiate, should make institutions very strong so that market works, functions well. Second, I think component of second generation reforms should be increasing efficiency of the public sector, the government sector. Public sector efficiency should be aimed for. Without efficient public sector, private sector will not work. So those countries which have performed well, take it China, take it India, take it Bangladesh, whoever countries you name, they have developed because of a strong or efficient public sector. So that lesson from others, including from India, Nepal should learn. Third, the element of second generation reform should be industrial development strategy, which we do not have. We have international trade strategy, many versions, first, second, third, fourth. But over the years, after this Harka Groom, we do not have industrial development strategies. So government should come up with developmental strategies, especially on industrial front. That should be the third element, the third component of second generation reforms. And the fourth should be export diversification. So our export sector is very fragile. It is not generating growth. It is not helping to generate economic growth. Is not generating jobs as well. It's very weak, very fragile. And because of this, many reforms are pending, especially on capital account convertibility. So government should develop a package which makes our exports very strong, given the LDC graduation as well. So what I'm trying to say is that we should go for high value exportable items, be it goods, be it services. What I'm referring to this is this: we should amend our FITA, Foreign Investment and Technology Transfer Act, which prohibits the foreign investment in services sector, foreign investment in agriculture, especially primary agriculture, primary produce of agriculture. So the new government, it's almost 2/3 majority government, should amend the FITA, the annex, which prohibits foreign investment in primary produce of agriculture and services sector. We should allow multinational companies such as Deloitte, PwC, Ernst & Young, these are the multinational companies, should be allowed, and we should open up management, engineering, legal consultancies, right? The accounting, auditing, all these service sectors, the professional sector, we should open up, And once we open up, invite multinational companies such as Deloitte, Price, Water, KPMG, Ernst & Young, and they will get business of education, health, drinking water, banking of United States of America, European, Australian, back office work, and the millions of educated, unemployed people will get high-paid jobs in IT, accounting, legal, consultancy work, banking, back office services. So that would be the best way to diversify our export sector and earn foreign exchange. And once that happens, we'll be able to go for capital account convertibility, which should be the climax of second generation reforms, which also require making our exchange rate flexible, market-based exchange system. So that should be the final destination of economic reforms. So this is a very powerful government. Nepali government have voted them powerfully to have the powerful government for economic reforms, not only for governance reform, but economic reforms to meet Nepali people's aspiration of development and getting jobs within the country.
These wonderful ideas that you just put forth in here, many of them are definitely the narrative that have been discussed previously as well. But do you think with the change in the government, political will alone is enough to make reforms, or is Nepal by default at some kind of a disadvantage that we could not bring into life these ideas before?
See, reforms, structural reforms, productivity enhancing reforms, making the economy competitive related reforms are at the hands of the government. They are the policy variables. They are the choices of the government. So if government wants, the reforms can be initiated. If government doesn't want, reforms won't be initiated. So they are the choice variables. They are not the constraint. They are not the constraint, geographical constraint, foreign shocks, nothing like that. They are our own choices. So they are the part of the decision-making process. Government should take decisions, appropriate decisions. If government take appropriate decisions, taking the country forward, taking the economy forward, the people, citizens of the country benefit, and their aspirations are met.
So it all boils down to one person or the people in the cabinet and the government, their will.
Yeah, it's a political will. It's a function of political will, I should say.
It's too late to ask if we are ready for LDC graduation or not, because November is already on its way. The International Labour Organization has warned that Nepal might lose somewhere around 130,000 jobs when we are trying to create employment. We're trying to drive our policies for employment generations to head toward prosperity. How do you see the post-graduation scenario in the employment sector?
Being LDC, Nepal was enjoying some benefits from international community in terms of concessional foreign aid, foreign assistance, concessional one, in terms of reduced tariffs, in some cases no tariffs at all, Nepali exports to foreign countries. Yeah, these were the benefits. These were the benefits in terms of foreign assistance and the international trade, especially exports. Now these two would be gone with LDC graduation within a matter of 5-6 months. So that requires preparation. That requires alternative strategy being put in place. That is not done. For foreign assistance, that would be halted in education, in health, various vaccinations and other things will be losing. and even in educations, even other field, we won't be getting foreign assistance as used to get under the LDC status. So what is the alternative for foreign assistance? The alternative is the foreign direct investment. The alternative is the public-private partnership, the blended financing. That we should have vehemently introduced. Preparations would have been made, but we haven't done it. Foreign direct investment, there are so many barriers to foreign direct investment into the country. Some sectors are prohibited. Even if some sectors are open up, there are some the cap limits on FDI, and there are other harassment as well. And on top of that, most important is the constraint is that license Raj in foreign investment continues. We removed license Raj. But we continue to have licensing or license Raj for investment. We could have removed that one. India has done it for national priority investment, for national priority areas if foreign investment is coming. So license is not required. But in FETA, there is a clause which says that prior approval is required for the foreign investment. So before making investment, before going through normal process of registration, you need to get the approval of foreign investment. That takes time. Although recently we have introduced the automated route, right? The internet route, online route for the approval. But even then, this is not, some people consider to be as a reform, but we should have removed that as India has done it. Once the government of Nepal declared some sectors as a national priority, sectors for economic development, for creating jobs, for lifting economic growth, government should have removed the requirement of license, the requirement of pre-approval for foreign direct investment. And that hassles continues, and we haven't done it, although we are graduating from the LDC status. That should have done by the government. Government hasn't done it to replace the foreign assistance. So there is no preparation on compensating the loss we'll have in terms of foreign assistance. On trade, that we will be losing preferential tariff rates. In Europe, Turkey, China, will lose, and you will have to compete with other countries' exports. And there are some reports which says the loss will be 4% of the total exports. Around $1 billion will be losing the exports. So I haven't heard of any scheme making our exports competitive, providing some concession, subsidies, some other things, infrastructure, facilities, the other things, skills training for garments, for carpet, for other products identified as exportable items. There's no development package, facilitation package announced by government of Nepal to face some obstacles, the competition for that matter, in international market for our exports. So for the last 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, we are talking LDC graduation. We demanded, we requested. It is not the unilateral. There are certain parameters. One which some countries graduate, there are 3 parameters. So of 3, 2 were already met. The 1 per capita income criterion wasn't met. Now that is, we are on the threshold, but we are not very strong on per capita criterion for LDC graduation. Although you have met it, we are not strong. We are very low level of per capita income. So very fragile situation is still there. So whether LDC graduation will be successful or not, future will tell us. But on the part of the government for the preparation, we are very weak, sadly speaking.
When we talk about reviving the industrial sector, you also mentioned about an industrial strategy that the country needs. Where does the plan for special economic zones perhaps fit in this idea?
You see, in the Constitution, there are some phrases: industrial corridors, SAYs, clusters for industrial development. But this, the constitutional measures are not being developed into industrial development package, industrial development strategy. So that is a very sad part. Although we're talking of, we have introduced SAYs, not wholeheartedly, half-heartedly. Bhairava, we introduced Bhairava SAYs long ago. There are few farms operating over there. And we have also developed Simara Zone A, Block A, as the SHEDGE. But other announce the SHEDGE, Special Economic Zones, are not being developed, are not being prepared. Even this Pachkhali area, Jumla area, there are so many areas declared as special economic zones, but government did not develop, didn't construct the walls and provided some facilities, sanitations and the other things, drinking water, electricity. So many things are required. Roads, inside, outside. They say government hasn't done it. So we require industrial development to make economy dynamic, to help boost exports, to create jobs. But we do not have the industrial development strategy yet. So it's a very unfortunate. And we have the federalism. We have gone for fiscal federalism since 2072, Bikram Sambat. But we haven't come up with the industrial federal administration mechanism. We haven't developed it. What should be industrial, federal industrial administration? Now, after country went for the fiscal federalism. So because of this reason, the contribution of industrial sector to the GDP is declining. Manufacturing sector contribution has fallen below 5%, 4.8%. Some years ago it was around 10%. Now it has fallen to below 5%. So this is the reason why we do not find jobs for ourselves. So we will have to leave the country and go abroad for jobs, for our living. So this is very unfortunate. So it's the right time. The government that has come into power, the powerful government, should develop industrial development strategy, which takes care, which provides some facilities, what government should do. That document should have that things. And then only there would be industrial development and the government would be giving priority in real sense of the term.
Nepal's forex reserves at the moment is, I believe, at an all-time high. Do you think this reserve is something to be happy that we can sustain our imports for a longer period of time, or is there a possibility of using these reserves for maybe domestic leverage?
This is the buffer. This is the cushion. When you face shocks, they help you to survive and sustain. So that is the purpose of buffers. International reserves, foreign exchange reserves act as the buffer, shock observer, right? To deal with the shocks the country from time to time, in recent years especially, facing. So that's how you should look at the buffers. In good times, you should create buffers. So while the country needs, you should use them for the country's development, to make country going, right? To continue your policies, right? So that the shocks are minimized. They do not reach to the common people. So that's how you should look at the buffer. But since the government in the past was not doing well on the government finance, on the public finance, on the budget was not well executed, not fully executed. So we could not make use of international buffers, international reserves, because government did not introduce counter-cyclical fiscal policy to counteract the slowdown in economic activities. So budget should have been used as an instrument. So government in the past failed to initiate counter-cyclical fiscal policy, even during the period of COVID, right? So private sector is not doing well in the recent days. In the past, many years ago, private sector was doing well, right? So private sector has moved from industrial sectors to trading businesses, so they are not using the resources we have. So private sector has declined. For example, the capital formation by the private sector some years ago, 5-6 years ago, was 23% of GDP. Now, the capital formation by the private sector has fallen to 17%, 15%. 15%, from 23% of GDP to 15%. So, there's a continuous decline of the private sector in terms of their contribution to capital formation. So when capital formation, for that matter, investment by the private sector falls, job creation will not take place. Economic growth will be anemic, very weak. So it's a failure of the private sector that has led to accumulation of foreign exchange reserves. That the country has accumulated from rising flow of remittances, migrant worker remittances. People are not getting jobs in the country, so they are forced to work abroad, and they're remitting their earnings in foreign countries to support their families. So that's how we are getting foreign exchange. That could have been utilized for the capital formation, which is the foundational for even for private sector development, to create jobs and to increase the productive capacity of the economy. So it's a failure of the government, failure of the corporate sector to utilize the foreign exchange. So many years ago, foreign exchange for developing countries such as Nepal used to be developmental constraint. So foreign exchange for Nepal is no longer a constraint. We have ample foreign exchange reserves equivalent of 18.5 months imports of goods and services. And according to Nepal Rashtra Bank, we require just 7 months imports of goods and services. That should have been the minimum foreign exchange cover the country should have, and the rest should have been utilized, leveraged for capital formation, which is not taking place.
Some time back, Nepal achieved the BB- rating in credit scoring. We have celebrated it as a win. If we are to look at the indicators compared to other BB- peers, do you think it really is a win?
See, when you get the mark sheet, you should see whether you are passed or you are failed. What is the passing mark? 40%, 50%, 60%. There are some standards colleges, universities have set for passing students. So when you see the score cards, the first thing you should see, watch, is whether you passed or failed. So when you see sovereign country rating or sovereign rating, first thing you should whether you have achieved investment grade or non-investment grade. That should be the starting point of reading country rating. So when you got BB-, that indicated that Nepal hasn't achieved investment grade. That is the non-investment grade, which signifies that there is no investment-friendly environment in the country. BB- signifies Nepal is yet to achieve, is to create in business or investment-friendly environment. Investment climate is not conducive for the private sector investment, for the foreign investment. So that grade Nepal achieved indicates that. But we celebrated. Then government, the finance minister used to speak publicly. We should celebrate it. And as if we should have on the back of our shirts saying Nepal got BB-. We should have, every Nepali should have on the back shirt written the grade, the country rating grade is BB-, which translated in the simple sentences is that Nepal is not investment friendly. So such a grade, when you attain, should we advertise? We're deterring, isn't it, by saying, but what we should have said, what we should have told the people that we got BB-, which is not the investment grade. Next time, when there's a country rating, we should aim for investment grade. Isn't it? Improved grade. That we didn't. We are satisfied. We are complacent, as if nothing should be done for the improvement of the grade. The psychology was that given the economic situation, given the governance, given the corruption, given the role of middleman, isn't it? We are fearing of getting investment grade of D or C, something like that. And when you achieve B, when you saw the B, we haven't got C or D, or B, it's a grade. So that psychology worked in celebration of the grade that we got, BB-.
Now coming to the Middle East crisis, that does not, as of this moment, seem to be finding a headway. As of this moment, the US has extended the ceasefire, but talks are yet to happen, and the impact has gone global. For a dependent country like Nepal, which imports absolutely all of the amount of fuel that we do, it's affecting all the houses, all households, and everyone as well. But as they say, economists are always optimists. I think you said that this could be an opportunity for Nepal.
Yeah. See, we do not produce a drop of petroleum products, a drop, even a drop. We do not produce. Everything, every fossil fuel is imported. Gas, diesel, petrol, aviation fuel, everything is imported. And prices are rising and making our life difficult. Even the construction sector will be affected. So this is not good news for us, but we should take it as an opportunity for energy transition. So we should go for hydropower development so that we become self-sufficient in energy, in electricity. See, currently we need to import electricity from India for 8 months. We are self-sufficient in electricity in 4 months only. For remaining 8 months, we need to import, and there are conditions attached from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., something like that. So in the peak hours, India, I was reading in the media, not allowing to provide electricity because they are also importing petroleum products and producing energy. So it is an opportunity, given the illiquidity we have in the banks. Government should develop some reservoir type project, launch them immediately, take them to the construction phase immediately. Don't wait 2-3 years in the name of financial closure, some necessary preparation of necessary documents and so on and so forth. Those ready projects should be launched in the next year budget. Budi Gandaki, we should launch. Pasim Seti, Dudh Koshi, there are some projects ready to go. Projects are there. So government should launch them. Why? Because we have excess liquidity. Remittances are coming in. We can utilize them. So we should go for public-private partnership as we did for Upper Tamagosi. So these projects, hydropower project, can be launched outside the annual budget of the government through blended finance, as we did for Upper Tamagosi, 460 megawatt, something, 10 years ago. Now the 1200 megawatts Budi Gandaki, we can do it because 12-15 years ago, we had the courage. The past finance minister, past prime minister had the courage to construct those projects on the PPP model, on the blended financing model. So the new government, powerful government, should be very courageous enough to launch them immediately, utilizing remittances, utilizing excess liquidity we have. So the energy crisis in the aftermath of Gulf war should be utilized, should be taken as an opportunity for energy transition.
Thank you so much for your time and valuable opinions. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for the opportunity.
And that brings us to the end of this edition of NTV World Inside. Our discourse on contemporary national and international issues will continue. Thank you for staying with us. Until next time.
A majestic destination blessed by cultural, religious, historic and natural diversities. Nepal is the country of Mount Everest and the birthplace of Lord Gautama Buddha. Karnali is synonymous to Nepal. One can experience the diversity of Nepal by visiting Karnali province. It is a must-go destination for those who want to experience the real Nepal. Karnali, that represents Nepal's age-old civilization, is in itself mesmerizing. The province has immense tourism potential with its unique natural, religious, cultural, archaeological and historic diversity. The famous tourist destinations in the province have played an important role in representing Nepal at the international level. Tourism can be the base for prosperity of Karnali region based on its immense prospects. Lakes, water bodies and famous religious sites are the major attractions for tourists in this province. Rara Lake, Sefoksundu Lake, Bulbule Lake, Chayanath, Dai Lake, Sinja Valley, Humla. This is Rara. Rara is the largest lake in Nepal. The lake is situated at Chayanath Rural Municipality of Mugu District in the Rara National Park. The unique lake is not just known for the different species of rare fishes and the musk ducks, but also for the changing color as per the climatic condition. Many foreign tourists come here to witness the camouflage of this majestic lake. virgin destination a few years back. Now, more than 50,000 tourists flock the Rara Lake every year, and the number is constantly on the rise. Land and air are the two means to reach Rara Lake. You can reach Rara in a day from Kathmandu by air. From Trivandrum International Airport, Kathmandu to Nepalganj, and another flight from Nepalganj to Talcher Airport in Mugu is the easiest option. However, from Talcher, it is another 3 hours uphill walk to reach the breathtaking Rara Lake. If you choose land travel, it might take up to 3 days. A day's travel from Kathmandu to Surkhet, an overnight stay. Manma, the district headquarters of Kalikot, from Surkhet, an overnight stay. And on the 3rd day, you can reach the Rara Lake. You need not walk if you choose this route for Rara Lake. Humla is a very remote Himalayan district of Nepal bordering Mugu. It has great touristic importance. Many pilgrims who want to go to the mythical Kailas mountain via Mansarovar take the journey via Humla district. Tourists, mainly Indian pilgrims, travel to Mansarovar, one of the largest pure water bodies at the highest altitude in the world, for religious purposes. This is the shortest and the most convenient route for the pilgrims. Most of the pilgrims traveling to Mansarovar choose air trip up to Simikot of Humla from Nepalganj. From Simikot, helicopter trip up to Hilsa, from where they enter Chinese autonomous region of Tibet. One day's drive from entering Tibet, the pilgrims reach Mansarovar. The Kimi Valley of Humla is another new tourist destination in the district. Ancient idols of archaeological importance and the monasteries have given it a new name, the Valley of Monasteries. These priceless statues, sculptures, and artifacts are the major attractions in the valley. Majority of the tourists visiting Karnali are the pilgrims from India. Culturally, the people of the Karnali region believe in multi-deity worship, but majority pay homage to their ancestral deity, the master god. The famous ritual of worshipping 12 master deities has become a popular subject for researchers and tourists alike. Karnali is a majestic land, naturally as well as culturally. It has religious and cultural heritages in abundance. It offers attractions for tourists of varying interests. Somewhat deprived in education, health, and employment. Karnali's tourism potential, due to its unique and diverse nature, geography, religion, culture, history, and archaeology, is unexplored. Many potential tourist destinations have yet to be explored in this region. So far, 101 destinations in the region have been branded as of touristic importance. Of the 101, 13 are under federal government, 9 under province government, and 79 under local levels. Karnali might lack top-class infrastructures including roadways, hotels or communications, but many destinations attract adventure tourists. Likewise, medicinal herbs like Yarsagumba, Kali Marsi paddy, millet and barley fields attract tourists when in full bloom. Some of the best organic dishes on offer you might find Kali Marsi paddy, honey, broad beans, dry apple, marfa, barley, sipped wool products as the gifts of Karnali. Whitewater rafting in the 5th best river in the world, Karnali, and Veri, tall and majestic Kanjirova, Patarasi and Sisne mountains, open for expedition, challenge mountaineers and explorers alike. Karnali is also known as the origin of civilizations, including language, literature, art, and culture. It's a pure and revered land. It has a lot to offer to researchers and explorers. Surkhet, the provincial headquarters of Karnali, is the gateway to most of the tourist destinations. Karnali Highway connects some of the destinations including Kotgadi, Panchadeval, Bilaspur, Mahabu area in Dailik. Pachal waterfall in Kalikot, Sinja Valley and the Dul Monastery of Jumla, and Rara Lake of Mugu. Very few destinations of Mugu and Jumla have road access. On the other hand, many budget travelers are not encouraged to traveling in Karnali as it is relatively expensive due to unavailability of road network. It is a must-go destination for those who want to experience the real Nepal.
The Israel Defense Forces said it killed 3 Hezbollah fighters during operations in southern Lebanon, targeting what it described as imminent threats. The military reported additional airstrikes on Hezbollah infrastructure, including sites north of the Yellow Line, as part of a broader campaign to dismantle the group's capabilities. 1 Israeli soldier was also lightly wounded during the shooting and evacuated for treatment. Hezbollah leader Naim Qassem rejected any direct negotiations with Israel, reaffirming continued resistance. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warned that Hezbollah's actions are undermining the ceasefire and said Israel would continue to respond forcefully. A Seoul High Court has increased the prison sentence of former South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol to 7 years on appeal for obstruction of arrest. The court overturned a lower ruling that had sentenced him to 5 years, citing abuse of power and interference with official duties. Judges found that Yoon used presidential security forces to block lawful arrest attempts and hinder anti-corruption investigators. His legal team said it will appeal the decision to the Supreme Court of South Korea. Yoon, who was previously impeached and removed from office, also faces a separate life sentence linked to insurrection charges. In Gaza City, mourners gathered for funeral prayers after an Israeli airstrike struck a vehicle and killed 4 people. The incident adds to ongoing violence in the wider conflict involving Israel and armed groups in the Gaza Strip. Residents said the strike caused civilian casualties, with Ibrahim al-Zubaydi describing it as part of a pattern of attacks that do not distinguish between civilians and combatants. The situation comes amid continuing hostilities in the region, where airstrikes and ground operations have caused repeated loss of life. The Gaza Strip, a densely populated territory, has seen repeated escalations of violence in recent months.
The question is, as on the order paper, as many of that opinion say aye. Aye! Of the contrary, no. No! Division, play the lobby.
Members of the UK Parliament have voted against referring Prime Minister Keir Starmer to a parliamentary committee over allegations that he misled MPs regarding the appointment of a US ambassador linked to the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The dispute centers on the controversial appointment of former envoy Peter Mandelson, which has sparked months of political pressure on Starmer's government. Opposition figures had called for an inquiry, arguing the process raised questions about transparency and accountability in ministerial appointments. However, MPs voted against escalating the issue to a formal standards investigation committee. The controversy continued to fuel criticism of the Labour government, with some opponents calling for Starmer's resignation while it seeks to maintain political stability. Former French President Nicolas Sarkozy has arrived at the Paris Court of Appeal for questioning in his appeals trial over alleged Libyan financing of his 2007 campaign. The case centers on 2 documents written by his former aide Claude Gouant, which reportedly signal a split in the defense strategy. Prosecutors are examining whether the documents support claims that funds from Libya were used in Sarkozy's presidential bid. The trial is part of a long-running investigation into alleged illegal campaign financing. Sarkozy has consistently denied any wrongdoing. Images released by the French Armed Forces show Dassault Rafale aircraft intercepting Shahed drone targets in the Middle East. The footage captures cockpit views and aerial shots of the jets engaging drones during defensive missions in the Gulf region. France says it has increased air operations to protect partner countries facing attacks linked to Iran. The operations highlight France's ongoing military role in regional air defense efforts. Pete Hegseth is set to testify before the U.S. Congress on the ongoing Middle East war as efforts to reach peace with Iran remain stalled. The conflict has intensified after Iran blockaded the Strait of Hormuz, disrupting global oil and gas flows and shaking markets. Donald Trump said Iran had been militarily defeated, though Tehran insists the war is not over and warns it still has options. Diplomatic efforts, including proposals involving easing the blockade and sanctions, have yet to produce a breakthrough. Meanwhile, fighting continues across the region, including tensions between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon. International organizations, including the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, the World Food Programme, and UNICEF, have warned that 7.8 million people in South Sudan will face acute food insecurity between April and July 2026. The report, based on the Integrated Food Security Phase Classification System, says this represents about 56% of the country's population and is among the worst levels globally. It estimates that over 73,000 people are already in the most severe catastrophe phase of hunger, a sharp rise from previous assessments. Millions more are classified in emergency and crisis levels of food insecurity, reflecting a widespread humanitarian strain. The crisis is being driven by conflict, displacement, flooding, economic decline, and poor agricultural output. King Charles III is on a state visit to the United States, where he met President Donald Trump at the White House for high-level talks aimed at strengthening UK-US relations. The visit featured formal ceremonies, symbolic exchanges, and discussions on diplomatic and global cooperation. Charles also addressed the US Congress, marking a notable moment in the state visit and emphasizing the importance of the long-standing alliance between the two countries. Pause SOT.
The alliance that our two nations have built over the centuries, and for which we are profoundly grateful to the American people, is truly unique. So as we look toward the next 250 years, we must also reflect on our shared responsibility to safeguard nature, our most precious and irreplaceable asset. Our generation must decide how to address the collapse of critical natural systems, which threatens far more than the harmony and essential diversity of nature. We ignore at our peril the fact that these natural systems, in other words, nature's own economy, provide the foundation for our prosperity and our national security.
He later attended a state dinner hosted by Trump, where both leaders exchanged cordial remarks. The visit has been described as a major diplomatic engagement, highlighting continued efforts to reinforce ties between London and Washington. The European Union has found that Meta is failing to stop children under 13 from accessing Facebook and Instagram, exposing them to harmful content. EU Tech Chief Henna Virkkunen said preliminary findings show Meta has weak measures to enforce its own age restrictions. The investigation conducted under the Digital Services Act revealed that children can easily bypass safeguards by entering false birth dates. Regulators warned that Meta could face fines of up to 6% of its global annual revenue if the violations are confirmed. Meta has disputed the findings, stating it has systems in place to detect and remove underage users while continuing discussions with the EU.
Today, the Commission has preliminarily found Instagram and Facebook in breach of DSA for failing to prevent minors under the age of 13 from accessing their services. As we know, Meta's own terms and rules indicate that Instagram and Facebook, they are not meant for minors who are under 13 years old. Yet our preliminary findings show that Meta is doing very little to prevent children below this age from accessing these platforms.
A laundry service in Phue Phuket is going viral for offering spa-like cleaning for stuffed toys and plushies, restoring worn-out items like teddy bears and Pikachu dolls. The business, Cleaning Yon Marathon, has attracted customers from around the world seeking high-end care for sentimental toys. Cleaning engineer Masakazu Shimura says each plushie is carefully hand-washed with attention to its fabric and condition. He explained that these items often carry deep emotional value, with owners treating them as part of the family. The service has grown in popularity as people look for gentle, specialized cleaning for treasured keepsakes. The ancient pyramid site of Bajrawiya on Sudan's island of Meroe contains around 140 burial pyramids from the Kingdom of Kush's Meroitic period. Many of the structures have been damaged over time, first by 19th century looting and later by centuries of natural erosion. Today, the site is affected by the ongoing war between Sudan's army and the Rapid Support Forces (RSF, which has further endangered its preservation. Despite the instability, a lone caretaker who comes from a family of traditional groundkeepers continues to watch over the ruins. He says he hopes to remain with the pyramids and never leave them, reflecting deep personal and cultural ties to the heritage site. In Popayan, indigenous communities, civil society groups, and local residents marched against escalating violence in the region of Colombia. The protest was triggered by a recent bomb attack that killed 21 civilians, one of the deadliest incidents against civilians in decades, raising fears ahead of upcoming elections. The demonstrations reflect long-standing insecurity in rural and conflict-affected areas where armed groups and criminal networks remain active despite peace efforts. Colombia has a history of internal armed conflict involving state forces, guerrilla groups, and paramilitary organizations, which has particularly impacted indigenous and rural populations. Protesters called for stronger government protection and accountability as political tensions rise in the pre-election period. FIFA has increased total World Cup cash distributions to nearly $900 million, citing rising costs for participating teams ahead of the tournament. The governing body also announced new rules for the World Cup starting June 11 in Mexico City, including red cards for players who cover their mouths during confrontations as part of an anti-racism initiative. Pause.
The revenues are above expectations, and this allows us to do two things. One is, of course, to increase our investments in football development, and the other one is the decision that we took today, which is increasing the preparation money, the contributions for the member associations, and we did it for over 100 million, 112 million more, which will be at the disposal of our member associations to help them prepare for the tournament, participate in the tournament in the best possible conditions. So we are now at almost 900 million all in all for the participating 48 countries.
जानुभएको छ, म पनि पुगेर आएँ। दुधकुण्ड असाध्यै पवित्र स्थल, यो हिमाल काखमा रहेको तीर्थस्थल हो, पुण्यस्थल हो, देवस्थल हो र त्यहाँ चाहिँ एकचोटि पुग्नै पर्दो रहेछ। त्यहाँ पुगेर जुन आनन्दको अनुभूति हुन्छ त्यो चाहिँ कहीँ पनि पाइँदैन भन्ने चाहिँ महसुस भयो।
आनन्द लाग्यो, मस्त लाग्यो। अनि यो ठाउँमा चाहिँ आएर तपस्या गरेर बस्नु जस्तो लाग्यो मलाई।
एकदमै राम्रो लाग्यो होइन, प्रकृतिले दिएको रमणीय तीर्थस्थल होइन। जो कोही पनि एकचोटि चाहिँ यहाँ आएर एकचोटि भ्रमण गरेर
Welcome to the new episode of The Hinterlands on NTV World. This weekly show brings together stories from the hinterlands of Nepal, takes you beyond the cities and highways into the heart of Nepal's rural landscapes. I am Rosina Rai and we will be leading you into this journey every week. Tonight we begin with a 300-year-old traditional Hanuman dance from Baglung in western Nepal. An interesting fact is that this ancient dance was performed again after a 9-year hiatus. Preserved for centuries by the Newar community, local conservation councils and other stakeholders are now making efforts to propose its inclusion in the UNESCO World Heritage List. A report. 13 pairs of Hanumans dressed in red costumes with skirts made of cloth tied around their waist dance to the beats of traditional instruments at the Kalika Bhagavati temple in western Nepal's Baglung district.
These youths embodying the spirit of brahmacharya, self-restraint and purity, perform as a Hanuman in a centuries-old Hanuman dance. The age-old tradition was revived after a 9-year gap. While dancing, they strictly follow rhythmic patterns. It is a traditional Newar dance on the Ramayana, embodying the courage, discipline and devotion of Lord Hanuman. Locals shared joy as the much anticipated 300-year-old Hanuman dance was finally showcased in the district once again. Closely tied to Baglung's cultural heritage, the performance is conducted after proper ritual worship within the temple premises. Traditionally, the dance was performed every 3 years, but it was halted for 9 years due to various challenges, including financial constraints and a lack of support from the local government.
हनुमान नाच बागलुङको अत्यन्त पुरानो संस्कारको रूपमा संस्कृतिको रूपमा चाहिँ रहेको छ र विशेष गरेर यो नेवारी कल्चरले यसलाई संरक्षण गरेर राखेको छ र यो बागलुङीहरूको एउटा गर्वको विषय पनि हो। यसलाई संरक्षण प्रवर्धन गर्नको लागि विश्व सम्पदा सूचीमा यसलाई चाहिँ सूचीकृत गर्नुपर्छ भनेर हामी स्थानीय सरकार पनि यसमा लागि परिरहेका छौँ।
पूजाको हकमा जुन छ पूजा भन्ने कुरा चाहिँ उहाँको आफ्नै चाहिँ मेन पुजारी हुनुहुँदैछ र उहाँले नै पूजा दिनुहुनेछ तर परिसर हामीलाई यो कुरा छ परिसरमा हामीले चाहिँ हरेक विषयलाई चाहिँ जोड्न सकिन्छ।
This sacred Hanuman dance, preserved by the Newar community of Western Nepal as one of its oldest cultural traditions, is also being proposed for inclusion in the UNESCO World Heritage List. The records of the history show the dance first introduced in 1740 by Newar migrants from the Kathmandu Valley and has since become a cornerstone of local cultural identity. In recent years, there has been growing concern that tradition may lose their importance due to decline in intergenerational transmission. Our second report in the Hinterlands segment highlights a walk for wellness. Organized to mark Nepal's significant diplomatic achievement, it's a sole proposal to declare April 15 as International Wellness Day, Arogya Divas, which has been adopted by the United Nations General Assembly. Let's dig deeper into this report. A few days ago, Nepal observed 15th March 2026 as the first International Wellness Day, Arogya Divas, following a resolution officially approved by the United Nations General Assembly. The declaration strongly supports Nepal's shift from volume-based tourism to value-based tourism, aiming to attract visitors seeking healing, mindfulness, and spiritual well-being. To mark this historic occasion, Nepal's Ministry of Foreign Affairs organized a wellness walk in Hatiban, Kathmandu to promote health and well-being.
संसारभरिबाट अहिले मानिसहरू आरोग्य खोजिरहेका छन्। त्यो आरोग्य प्राप्तिका लागि नेपाल आउनुस्। हामीसँग छन् त्यसका विधिहरू, त्यसका चाहिँ प्रक्रियाहरू, त्यसका स्थानहरू र त्यो भन्ने हिसाबले हामीले अगाडि सारेका हौं।
The program began at 7 a.m. with guided sessions of yoga, pranayama, and meditation led by trained instructors. Participants then embarked on a 2-hour hike toward Champa Devi. Ambassadors from various countries, representatives of the United Nations, and senior officials from the government of Nepal actively took part in the event. During the hike, participants enjoyed a locally prepared organic meal, the beginning of the global efforts to integrate health, nature, and tourism. Stakeholders noted that the initiative reflects the government's vision of positioning Nepal as a premier global destination for well-being tourism. Beyond diplomatic engagement, the work served as a platform to showcase Nepal's holistic philosophy of wellness to the international community.
I think Nepal is a wonderful place to come and visit and experience this beautiful nature, spirituality, the cultural heritage. So I would highly recommend that people come and visit Nepal.
All these pictures are in Nepal. All these little clips of film are in Nepal.
and this country contains so much diversity.
This movement, which promotes wellness as a way of life, holds a significant potential to position Nepal as a leading global hub for health and wellness tourism in the years ahead. We now travel to Sudur Paschim province, where the Thatch Free Roof campaign is being intensified, prioritizing improvised and high-risk families. The program aims to ensure safer housing and reduce risks such as house fires by replacing traditional thatched roofs with modern materials. Sarah Sopsanamarai explains more.
Bodikidar Rural Municipality in Doti district in the far west of Nepal has accelerated thatch-free roof campaign with the goal of ensuring secure housing in rural settlements to guide citizens toward modern and safe living conditions while reducing the hazards associated with traditional thatched roofs. The local government has prioritized distribution of corrugated zinc sheets. According to the rural municipality, priority is being given to impoverished families and those still living in vulnerable conditions under thatched roofs.
यसमा खर्च सरकारले अब दुःख परेको थियो अब सरकारले किनिदियो सरकारलाई धन्यवाद छ ठिकै खर काट्ने खर लगाउनु छाउनु धेरै दुःख हुन्थ्यो त्यो धेरै सुविधा गरिदियो हाम्रो सरकारले भन्नु.
The rural municipality has said primary goal of this campaign is to build safe housing as thatched roofs are highly vulnerable to natural disasters such as fires, heavy rains and windstorms. So far, approximately 300 households have been provided with zinc sheets. The vice chairperson of the rural municipality says there are plans to further expand this campaign in the coming days.
धेरै महिलाहरू दिदीबहिनीहरूलाई साह्रै समस्या भएको कारणले यो खरले जसको घरमा चाहिँ खरले छाना छाएका छन् उहाँहरूलाई चाहिँ यो कार्यबोझ घटाउनको लागि जस्ता पत्ता वितरण गर्ने भन्ने कार्यक्रम चाहिँ हामीले निर्वाचित हुने बित्तिकै चाहिँ हामीले त्यो कार्यक्रम राख्यौं र अहिलेसम्म समग्रमा चाहिँ हामीले 300 जना जति घरधुरीलाई चाहिँ जस्ता पत्ता वितरण गरिसकेका छौं र यो पाला चाहिँ हामीले 152 जना जति
The local government expects that this initiative aimed at displacing thatched roofs in favor of safe housing will bring a positive transformation to the lifestyle of the local residents.
It has been 26 years since the government of Nepal formally banned the Kamaiya bonded labor system in the country. Following the ban, thousands were liberated from this inhuman labor practice in the country. However, despite the official declaration, many freed Kamaiyas continue to face significant challenges in rehabilitation. Vijeta Bhandari explores this issue in her report.
On July 17, 2000, the government of Nepal formally abolished the Kamaiya system, marking a historic step. But for many of those liberated, it was only the beginning of a long and difficult struggle. According to government data, 1,082 people in Sudur Paschim province and 1,293 in Lumbini province in western Nepal are still awaiting proper rehabilitation. In Kailali district of Sudur Paschim alone, 9,762 individuals were issued identity cards. Of them, 8,022 have been rehabilitated, but 953 continue to face serious challenges. This includes 400 individuals dealing with land tenure issues, 173 whose identity cards were cancelled, and 380 who have yet to receive land. Many freed Kamaiyas who remain unrehabilitated are still living in harsh conditions in temporary camps or along roadsides. Although expectations were high that the Land Problem Settlement Commission would address these issues, there are growing complaints that Kamaiya rehabilitation was not included within the Commission's terms of references.
75 जना अझै पनि बाँकी छन् भन्ने कैलाली मात्रै 953 जना चाहिँ जग्गा पाउन बाँकी देखिन्छ भने दुई चरणको छानबिनले पनि हामीले राज्यको चाहिँ छानबिन प्रक्रिया गलत छ यसलाई चाहिँ यो ढङ्गले सबै परिचय पत्र चाहिँ वास्तविक कमाइहरू पाउन सक्दैनन्।
Similarly, another exploitative form of indentured servitude affecting young girls from the Tharo community, the Kamlari system, was abolished in 2013. However, their rehabilitation also remains incomplete. While scholarship programs were initially introduced to support freed Kamlaris, these have been discontinued after 2020. Alongside education, many continue to struggle with income generation and employment opportunities. Freed Kamlaris report ongoing discrimination in employment, skill development training, and access to opportunities.
नेपालीमा चाहिँ 4074 जना चाहिँ मुक्त कमलारीहरू हुन्। त्यसमा चाहिँ 2500 जनाले परिचय पत्र पाइसकेका छन्, तर डाटाहरू अपडेट नभएको कारणले गर्दाखेरि 2500 भनिएको छ, तर त्यो भन्दा अलिकति बढीले परिचय पत्र पाएको चाहिँ हामीले अनुमान गरेका छौं।
In 2019, the federal government transferred responsibility for the rehabilitation of freed Kamayas to local governments. Although the Sudur Pashchim provincial government introduced working procedures and directives, implementation at the local level has remained slow and largely ineffective. While few of Nepal's political parties have publicly issued apologies to marginalized and ostracized communities like the Dalit community, the situation of freed Kamayas and Kamlaris insists on much deeper reflection. It is pointed out that acknowledgement alone is not enough, as these freed Kamayas and Kamlaris still await meaningful rehabilitation and inclusion in the society.
After examining the challenges faced by freed Kamayas, we now turn our attention to a significant step in biodiversity conservation in Nawalparasi. A total of 26 artificial ponds across 62 community forests are emerging as a strong model for biodiversity conservation. The construction of artificial ponds in various community forests of Western Nawalparasi has intensified as the country enters the dry season. A total of 26 ponds across 62 community forests in the district have proven significant for wildlife conservation and forest fire control. With the increasing risk of forest fires during dry season, additional ponds are being constructed on a larger scale to help minimize potential damage.
पटक त हामीले प्रदेश सरकारको तर्फबाट अभियानै चलायौं। एक ओडा एक पोखरी भन्ने खालको अभियान चलेको थियो। अहिले आएर हामीले हरेक सामुदायिक वनलाई कम्तीमा पनि एउटा सामुदायिक वनमा एउटा पोखरी संरक्षित पोखरी बनाऊ, ताकि त्यहाँ वन्यजन्तुलाई पानी पिउने सहज पनि होस्, वन डडेलो नियन्त्रणको हिसाबले पानी पनि उपलब्ध होस्, त्यहाँको माइक्रो क्लाइमेटको संरक्षण गर्ने हिसाबले पनि सहज होस् भन्ने हिसाबले पहल गरेका छौं। हामी हरेक वर्ष संरक्षण पोखरी बनाउने गर्छौं र यो वर्ष पनि डिभिजन वन कार्यालयको पहलमा 11 वटा संरक्षण पोखरी बन्दैछ।
This multi-purpose artificial water body also serve as a vital water sources for wild animals during peak heat time. Water scarcity in forest areas often forces wildlife to enter nearby settlements, leading to human-wildlife conflict and property damage. To address this issue, multi-purpose ponds are being developed through joint investment by community forest and the provincial government. The initiative aims to support wildlife conservation, reduce human-wildlife conflict, and improve forest fire management. Moreover, these ponds play a crucial role in reducing the need to travel long distances to access water, providing quicker response to forest fires. Overall, the construction of ponds in forest area is emerging as a strong model for biodiversity conservation in the country. The debate over riverbed excavation in Nepal remains a complex conflict between urgent development needs and severe environmental degradation, often leading to recurring legal battles and disputes between local and federal authorities. In this context, the Thading District Administration Office has finally granted permission for the extraction for riverbed materials, as shortages have hampered construction work along the Nagdunga Muglin Road section. The local administration of Dhading district has granted permission for the extraction of quarry and river-based construction materials from the Trisuli River for the under-construction Nagdhunga-Muglin Road section. The administration has also directed that all extraction activities must strictly follow environmental impact assessment and initial environmental examination. Previously, the collection of materials from the Trisuli River, nearby quarries and streams had been halted due to protest from local residents. Concerns over the environment and social impacts of unregulated extractions, including the drying up of water sources and the damage to religious and public structures, were also the reason for the restriction. The shortage of sand, gravel, and stone had severely affected road upgrading work, bringing construction activities almost to a standstill. Following discussions among concerned stakeholders, all parties have now reached to an agreement to allow controlled and systematic extraction of construction materials. The agreement was made in consideration of the increased risk of transport disruption during the monsoon season. With the new agreement in place, construction is expected to regain momentum as the local supply of materials become more accessible. Under the agreement, materials will be extracted only from designated locations and in specified quantities under the supervision of local authorities. All activities must ensure that public spaces, religious sites, and bridges are not harmed. Beyond the cities and the headlines, real lives continue to unfold. Stories shaped by struggle, strengthened by resilience, and carried forward by hope. This is the Hinterlands, and we will be back next week with more stories from the heart of Nepal. Do follow us on our website, nepaltelevision.com, social media handles, and YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye for now.
Votekosi and Trisuli river rafting. Rafting has lately been gaining popularity among tourists. The adventure sport, which previously was popular only among foreigners, is now drawing the local tourists as well. Trisuli and Votekosi rivers that are close to Kathmandu are two popular destinations for rafting in Bagmati province. Let us first explore Votekosi. Whitewater rafting at Votekosi river is included among the 10 best adventure destinations for rafting in the world. Votekosi, which is well facilitated with food and accommodation, can be a great destination for rafting and other adventure sports. Rafting at Trisuli River is popular among domestic tourists, as the location can be reached in an hour from Kathmandu. This is where most tourists go for rafting in Nepal. Rafting packages of Votekosi and Trisuli are appropriate for those who want to spend some good time for a few days.
Music, dance, food, art and devotion are the lifeblood of Mewar culture, an ancient civilization rooted in the Kathmandu Valley of Nepal. With lively festivals nearly every fortnight, the Newars celebrate life through a rich tapestry of traditions known as Jatra, deeply intertwined with the rhythms of agriculture. This is a culture where every celebration is a living expression of heritage, community, and spiritual joy. Welcome to the ancient heart of the Kathmandu Valley, Chaba Hill. Here lies a sacred nexus of faith and tradition, Sri Chandravinayak Temple.
The wishes of the devotees, for instance, moving abroad, or the most important is to get rid of want and allergies. And if we lose something, then we offer a kisli, an ancient small bowl made of clay in which we put rice and a supari with a coin. It is believed we retrieve the lost thing and wounds or allergies.
This location is not just a place of worship, it is the stage for one of the region's most vibrant annual celebrations, Sri Chandravinayak and Sri Bhairavnath Jatra.
The beginning of the Jatra is always, according to the Newari date, what we call Sakimana Puni. Puni means full moon. It starts from the time of Kartik Purnima, and for this we have to take the auspicious time for the Jatra. There is a place called Amalkot Kacheri. We go there about a week in advance to get the auspicious time. After they give us the auspicious time, then we start the management things.
This festival holds a significance at par with our grandest celebrations like Dasai and Tihar for the local residents of Chaba Hill. It's a time when the community unites and the entire area bursts into life.
Old-aged people are the contributors for the contribution of this Jatra festival. In early days, it was done during days, and the deities were kept in a basket from the sources. Now, we use chario because to local resident people like us, this festival is like Dasai and Tihar. Those are the greatest festival for Nepalis. Another reason is that a lot of people worship Lord Ganesh. The importance of the four Lord Ganesh is advertised. That is why there are lots of devotees visiting the temple. More than importance, it is the preservation of our culture and heritage that we are trying to do best.
The Jatra centers around two powerful deities, Lord Ganesh, known here as Chandravinayak, and the fierce protector Bhairavnath.
We also consider Chandra Vinayak Bhagwan as the first deity, right? The god who received blessings from Shiva Parvati or the parents. The first one who remember and worship when we humans worship is Sri Ganesh Bhagwan. All the Hindu Sanatan Dharma followers all over the world consider Ganesh Bhagwan as the first deity. Similarly, Chandra Vinayak, the name is different, but their feeling and over devotion towards them is the same. Similarly, Bhairavnath, who is located here in Chabel, Bhairavnath is considered to be a deity who originated here naturally even before Ganesh Bhagwan. Now we consider Bhairav as a form of Shiva, as a part of Shiva, right? In this way, we consider Chandra Vinayak Bhagwan and Bhairavnath as the center of our faith. Another interesting aspect is this is also in the form of a legend. Our Chandra Vinayak Bhagwan loves outsiders more than us locals. The reason for that is Maybe because they come from so far away with so much hardship. God gives them more blessing. That's how we take it.
Historically, the architecture itself whispers tales of antiquity. The temple complex standing near the ancient Charumati Stupa showcases relics dating back to the Lichvi period, as far back as the 5th to 6th centuries. While the main idol of Sri Chandrabinayak has seen renovations over centuries, notably during the Malla era, the site's spiritual lineage is deep-rooted.
हाम्रो यो गणेशलाई चाहिँ चन्द्रविनायक 4 गणेश मध्ये एक गणेश भगवान हो। एक गणेश जस्तै चन्द्रविनायक, सूर्यविनायक, जलविनायक, अशोक विनायक।
Sri Chandrabinayak is one of the most important lord in the 4 Vinayak: Surya Vinayak, Chandra Vinayak, Jal Vinayak and Ashok Vinayak. This jatra was initiated during the Lichhavi period, as Goddess Kumari and Lord Bhairav were way before this time frame is known. It is believed that Lord Bhairav is the protector and of the local residents of Sabel, and the prasad is said to cure diarrhea and cholera.
The unique feature of this celebration is the dual focus. While the pillar of Bhairavnath was historically renowned, the divine presence of Lord Ganesh is equally honored. The festival marks the time when the forces unite, celebrated through grand processions and rituals that honor the valley's layered history, blending Hindu and ancient Buddhist iconography.
Now we are busy with jobs and businesses. But the previous generation were all in agriculture, and this time, which falls in Kartik and Mangsir, is the time when it gets cold, or the time to harvest the crops, and the time to rest after being tired from harvesting the crops. So, on the first day of the Jatra, we offer the new crop, the various crops that have been harvested, such as wheat, soybeans, rice, lava, all these as halimali prasad to Ganesh Bhagwan. After offering that to God, then all our families relax, thinking that our agricultural work is done and we have a new feast. Thank the gods and have a palanquin procession and a feast. This is how we are moving forward in its main religious, social, all forms.
The main celebration commences on the full moon day of Hindu month Kartik, which typically falls in November.
The first day of the full moon of Kartik, we lit a sacred fire known as Dhuni. Second day is Ganesh Jatra here in the temple. On the third day, we take the chariot to Chuchepati and end the 4 days ceremony with Sindur Jatra.
The day begins with solemnity as a great sacred fire. The Dhuni is lit for the well-being of all people, a ritual known for devotees gathering together to warm themselves, believing it grants health benefits and religious merits. The climax is the Rath Yatra, the chariot procession. The chariots of Bhairavnath are elaborately decorated, and the image of Sri Chandrabinayak is also brought out for worship.
Playful chariot battle is done as Lord Ganesh is worshipped at first, and the chariot of Lord Bhairav ramps up the chariot of Sri Chandrabinayak 3 times, believing this long ceremonial ritual. It is also believed that when the chariot strikes that place is protected from the divine. Previously, chariots were stopped in front of every house, but nowadays it is only stopped in most important places of travel due to urbanization.
We see traditional mock rituals, like a playful struggle where Ganesh attempts to enter the main sanctum depicting ancient mythology played out in the streets. The deities are later bathed in the ancient Gangahiti, a water source just north of the temple, a ritual that can last late into the night. The atmosphere is one of joyous devotion and playful energy.
The head priest is selected from Pasupati Development Trust, who are the employees themselves. They are given a specific special area for the formal event. Previously, they used come in barefoot, but now we have solved their problem with this new space. They use the traditional tantric ritual to worship the deities. After the tantric rituals done by the priests, the deities get a new form. It can be seen with the change of the ornaments, same like the day as Lord Ganesh is worshipped, especially on Tuesday. His form is more strong and divine, and the ornaments used in the jatras are special, not the one being used every day. Lord Ganesh is worshipped by the Sakya priests with their own rituals, and the Lord Bhairav is worshipped by the Vajracharya priests according to their own rites and rituals. Now, not many Sakya and Vajracharya priests are here in Nepal to forward this ancient ceremonial festival.
More than just religious rites, the Jatra is a powerful social binder. It is the time when relatives are invited as honored guests, transforming Chabhal into a hub of reunion and festivity. The homes themselves become part of the decoration illuminated to celebrate the occasion.
We are teaching our kids the same what we did learn from our earlier generation, and we have already started to train them. Now, our daughter and sons do not attend college just to take part in this heavenly festival. They are interested in their culture and promoting it with full confidence. That's why we are trying to teach them everything what we learn to keep our tradition and culture alive. Every year a new face is introduced so that they participate with full confidence and happiness with equality. Whoever is devoted and interested, they are welcomed and given priority here.
Devotees strongly believe that participating in this Jatra guarantees the same spiritual blessings as worshipping the deities throughout the entire year. Consequently, the number of culture enthusiasts joins the thousands of pilgrims each year.
In this crowd, we are moving forward in our race of life. Mostly people go abroad for studies or money, but there are many friends like us who feel that our identity, the heritage of our country, the greatest assets of our country is our culture, which our ancestors have been handing over to us. This is our identity. If this identity is not preserved, then in the future neither our existence nor the existence of the nation of Nepal will remain. We are working hard, we are suffering, but we are devoted. God is helping us. That's why we don't have to go abroad. God is watching over us. We always have one thing, that our devotion to God is always awakened, and the work we do is also a devotion to God. And the main thing we do is for the good of all our Nepalese residents, for the good of the country. That's why we always work hard.
To manage this growing vibrant event, the locals have set up a coordination committee to ensure everything runs smoothly and joyfully.
Now this management which we have formed as Sri Chandra Binayak and Bhairabnath Jatra Coordination Committee. Actually, there are separate Guthi, Palas and religious Guthi that have been established earlier to conduct the Jatra. But this issue, gradually, as the youth migrate and a generation gets older, it's become difficult to operate. Not only for the Guthi Palas. Then, to play a coordinating role, we formed this committee. The coordination committee, it includes all the Ganesh Palas, Bhairav Palas and the Guthi that carries Chhatra. There is a Guthi called Kha Guthi. There are many such Guthi. We have included all of them and formed a working committee and started organizing this program in this way. It has been more than 10 years now.
After the coordination committee was established, we have upgraded with the process and the rituals of Jatra. After this Jatra ends, the Guyeswari Jatra is commenced with the Muktinath Baja Khala. It's been 6 years as we are getting funded by the Pasupati Development Trust.
This historic and ancient cultural heritage of Chabahil stands as a vital part of Nepal's identity. Preserving and revitalizing this tradition requires a collaborative commitment from the nation as a whole and from every Nepali, both at home and abroad.
It's been 6 years as we are getting funded by the Pasupati Development Trust, increasing the fund by 10% every year. As I have known, it is 70 to 80,000 rupees. From the municipality office, we are also funded 10 lakh Nepalese rupees. But as the governmental process takes time and the taxes are deducted, we get 8 lakh rupees in total for the festival. So we all residents of Chabahil gather together and collect fund if the scarcity occurs. But we do not stop the festival.
Active participation and support are essential to safeguard and promote these cultural celebrations that uphold our national heritage.
At least 20 killed in a jeep accident in western Nepal's Rolpa. Identity of deceased passengers being ascertained. Nepal's president issues cooperative ordinance, also consults legal experts on government-proposed ordinances. Kathmandu authorities to begin clearance of encroached settlements from tomorrow. Residents urged to vacate by morning. Nepal moves to fortnightly pay for civil servants. Budget and procedural hurdles raise concerns over smooth implementation. Iran's supreme leader defies U.S. blockade as Trump says blockade can last months. Oil prices soar to a 4-year high. And Nepal facing UAE in a crucial ICC World Cup League to encounter tomorrow. Also must win the match to stay in ODI World Cup qualification race. Hello there, I'm Smithu Gising Thamang and this is NTV World News Hour coming to you live from Kathmandu at 2200 hours Nepal time. Now the news in detail. At least 20 persons have been killed in a jeep accident in Jaljala area of Thawang, rural municipality of Rolpa district in western Nepal. According to police, the vehicle was carrying passengers from Rukum who were traveling to attend a fair held in Jaljala on the occasion of Baisak Purnima when the accident occurred. Police said the jeep fell approximately 800 meters off the road. Inspector Ramchandra Bagale of Area Police Office at Thawang informed that further investigation into the accident is ongoing. Nepal's President Ramchandra Paudel has issued the cooperative First Amendment Ordinance 2083 on the recommendation of the Council of Ministers in accordance with Article 114(1) of the Constitution. Meanwhile, Paudel also held consultations with constitutional and legal experts regarding 6 ordinances recommended by the government today, including provisions related to the Constitutional Council and other governance matters. According to the President's office, the legal experts consulted included Badri Bahadur Karki, Mahadev Yadav, Purnaman Shakya, Bhimarjun Acharya and Tikaram Bhatrai. Nepal's government, in the meantime, has defended its decision to recommend 6 ordinances to the President, stating that the measures are aimed at strengthening good governance, transparency and citizen-focused service delivery. Authorities in Kathmandu have announced that all settlements built through encroachment within the district will be cleared starting tomorrow. The District Administration Office Kathmandu issued a public notice stating that settlements established illegally on government, public, trust or guti or privately owned land across various locations in the district will be vacated from 7 a.m. onward. The administration has urged residents to leave the areas before the deadline. The move follows recent eviction drives carried out over the weekend in Kathmandu's Thapathali, Goidigao and the Manohara River corridor, where informal settlements built along riverbanks were dismantled. Nepal has introduced a nationwide shift to fortnightly salary payments for civil servants. Officials said the new payment system is aimed at improving financial management, ensuring timely disbursement of salaries, and enhancing transparency in public sector payrolls. However, concerns have been raised over administrative readiness at local and federal levels, with institutions still adapting to the revised accounting and fund allocation procedures. The government is expected to monitor the rollout closely as it transitions from the traditional monthly salary system to the new fortnightly structure. We will delve deeper into this in our segment issue of the day later in the bulletin. Iran's supreme leader has declared that the United States had suffered a shameful defeat, defiantly rejecting a warning from President Donald Trump that an economically punishing U.S. naval blockade could be enforced for months to come. Oil prices hit a 4-year high, crossing above $126 per barrel, then fell back slightly before Mustafa Khamenei issued a written statement that was read out on state television, declaring that Iran was now in the driver's seat in the crisis. The United States imposed a blockade on Iran's ports 2 weeks ago, while the Islamic Republic has maintained its stranglehold over the strategic Strait of Hormuz since the start of the Middle East war in February. The sudden spike comes amid heightened concerns over potential disruptions in global oil supply routes, fueling volatility across international energy markets. Nepal is set to play its second match against the United Arab Emirates UAE in the ICC World Cup League 2 cricket tournament tomorrow. The match will begin at 9 a.m. at the TU International Cricket Ground in Kirtipur. In head-to-head ODI encounters, Nepal and UAE have met 14 times, with Nepal winning 8 matches and UAE securing 6 victories. In the ongoing League 2 campaign, Nepal defeated UAE by 37 runs in their opening encounter. However, Nepal suffered a heavy 102-run defeat against Oman on Thursday under the Duckworth-Lewis-Stern DLS method. Nepal, meanwhile, faces mounting pressure to secure victories in its remaining League 2 fixtures to retain its ODI international status and keep its hopes of qualifying for the ICC Cricket World Cup alive. Nepal has introduced a nationwide shift to fortnightly salary payments for civil servants, but procedural hurdles in budgeting and execution could slow its rollout. And what do the civil servants feel about receiving their pay every 15 days? More on this in our Issue of the Day segment after this short break. Welcome back. You're watching the News Hour on NTV World, and now we're turning to our Issue of the Day. Nepal has rolled out a nationwide shift to fortnightly salary payments for civil servants, but procedural hurdles in budget planning and execution risk in slowing implementation. Sabika Shrestha brings more.
The government of Nepal's proposal to shift civil servant salary payments from a monthly cycle to a 15-day system had generated both optimism among employees and concern over implementation feasibility. The reform is intended to improve household cash flow, enhance liquidity in the economy, and encourage consumer spending by dividing monthly salaries into 2 installments. It is being positioned as part of broader efforts to modernize public financial management.
We are trying to implement this in a phased manner, and in the first phase, as I mentioned earlier, it has been implemented in the ministry and the FCCO. Second phase within the federal ministries and departments. As mentioned, that in the local level, we need some sort of adjustment in the system. Sutra is being implemented in the local level for all the financial management. For making updates in the Sutra, I think it will take some time, 3-4 months. The technical team has already initiated the preparation work for it. I think to be very objective, it will take 3-4 months to make the system, to update the system. But for the full implementation in all the local level, I think it will require for 5-6 months. Within 5-6 months, and we can implement the system in the local level.
However, officials acknowledge that the transition faces significant procedural and technical hurdles. The Financial Comptroller General Office (FCGO) has begun preliminary adjustments, but aligning the new payment structure with existing annual budgeting, accounting systems, and fund release mechanisms remains complex. Nepal's federal structure adds further difficulty with coordination required across federal, provincial, and local levels. Delays in budget approvals, administrative capacity gaps, and bureaucratic inefficiencies are expected to slow nationwide implementation. While civil servants have largely welcomed the move for improving short-term financial flexibility, analysts caution that splitting salaries does not increase real income or purchasing power, limiting its broader economic impact.
मलाई चाहिँ यो राम्रो नै हो जस्तो लागेको छ। एकातिर बजार चलायमान हुन्छ, यसले गर्दा चाहिँ हाम्रै देशको अर्थतन्त्रलाई चाहिँ अलि सबल बनाउनका लागि सरकारले गरेको पहल ठिकै हो कि जस्तो पनि लागेको छ।
Critics also warn that without deeper reforms in public financial management, payroll restructuring alone may strain administrative systems rather than improve efficiency. As a result, questions remain over whether the policy can be fully rolled out within the current fiscal year. Sabika Shrestha with camera person Samir Thapa reporting for NTV World.
In this context, we asked the civil servants on how excited they are to receive salary in every 15 days. Let's hear what they say in today's Public Pulse.
राम्रो लागिरहेछ 15 दिनमै स्यालेरी आएपछि अर्को अब 15 दिनमै पाइन्छ आफ्नो कामहरु सबै हुँदै जान्छ नि त एक महिनासम्म कुर्नु परेन जे नीड छ त्यो छिट्टै पुरा हुने भयो पैसाको फ्लो नि हुने भयो आफ्नो कामहरु गर्न रासनहरु ल्याउनलाई हैन भाडा तिर्नेहरुलाई भाडा तिर्न सबै कुरा हुने भयो अब औषधि उपचार गर्न पनि एक महिनासम्म कुर्नु पर्ने हुन्छ त्यो भएन ठीक छ
यो चाहिँ सायद राम्रै लागिरहेछ मलाई किनभने पहिला त हामीले अब एक महिना कुर्नु पर्थ्यो के इमर्जेन्सीको लागि पनि अब सधैँ हामीले सेभिङ गरेर राखेको हुँदैनौं नि त अनि एक महिना कुर्नु पर्थ्यो केही गर्नु पर्यो भने अब कोठा भाडा तिर्नु पर्यो भने केही रासनहरु ल्याउनु पर्यो भने पनि कुर्नु पर्थ्यो अब यो 15 दिनमा दिँदाखेरि चाहिँ राम्रै लागिरहेछ किनभने विदेशतिर पनि त्यस्तै सिस्टम छ नि त वीकली पे गर्छ नि त झन् त्यहाँ त अनि अब त्यत्रो डेभलप कन्ट्रीहरुले त त्यस्तो गरिरहेछ भने चाहिँ obviously राम्रै भएर गरे होला राम्रो लागिरहेछ
यो त एकदमै राम्रो कुरा हो हैन किनभने देखिन अब 15 दिनमा पैसा आयो भने देखिन चार ठाउँमा कसैले तिर्नु छ भने सट्ट तिरिहाल्न पाइयो दुई ठाउँको 15 दिनमा तिरियो दुई ठाउँको पछि तिर्न पाइयो
महिनावारीमा पाउनु र अहिले 15 दिन पाउँदाखेरि चाहिँ राम्रै हो हामीलाई चाहिँ अनि देशको आर्थिक स्थिति पनि राम्रो होला जस्तो लाग्छ
एकदम ठीक लाग्छ किन भन्दाखेरि महिनाभरिको खर्च 15 दिनमै एडजस्टमेन्ट हुन्छ एक्सपेन्स चाहिँ त्यति धेरै लोड नहोला
That wraps up our Issue of the Day segment. On to the next segment now. Nepal has made it mandatory for retailers to display maximum retail prices (MRP) on everyday goods, aiming to ensure transparency and protect consumers from inconsistent pricing. But resistance from importers is complicating implementation, with hundreds of trucks stranded at Biratnagar Customs and revenue taking a hit. Meanwhile, authorities are preparing to clear encroached land in Kathmandu's Bolko area from tomorrow, with assurances of temporary shelter for affected residents. This in our cover story tonight. And now we're turning to our cover story. Nepal has introduced a nationwide requirement for retailers to display maximum retail prices on everyday goods. The policy is intended to improve price transparency after years of inconsistent pricing across shops. However, importers have raised concerns, creating challenges in implementation. Siksha Vatrai with Kamalarial brings this report.
The government of Nepal has begun enforcing a new rule requiring retailers across the country to display maximum retail price (MRP) labels on everyday goods. in a move aimed at curbing arbitrary pricing and protecting consumers. For years, shoppers in Nepal have faced inconsistent pricing, often paying different amounts for the same product depending on the store. The lack of clear price information made it difficult for consumers to verify costs, leaving many vulnerable to overcharging. Under the new regulation, retailers must place MRP stickers on essential commodities such as rice, lentils, pulses, and cooking oil. Officials say the policy will bring greater transparency and ensure fair pricing in the market.
अधिकतम मूल्य कति हो भन्ने कुरा क्याप लाग्छ जस्तै मानौ चाउचाउको मूल्य 20 भनेर हामीले भन्यौं भने त्यो डोल्पामा पनि त्यसको 20 हुन्छ एमआरपी उल्लेख गरेपछि त्यो विभिन्न चाहिँ चरणको स्टेप बाइ स्टेपको चाहिँ तपाईको चाहिँ तहको चाहिँ उले ठगिने सम्भावना कम हुने भयो एउटा कुरा अर्को कुरा के हुने भयो भने अब जस्तै अब एमआरपी लागू गरियो भने त्यो कोले उत्पादन गरेको हो त्यसको ब्याच नम्बर के हो इम्पोर्टरको उत्पादकको सबै कुरा क्लियर हुने भयो ग्राहकलाई सबै कुराको चाहिँ तपाईको प्रत्याभूत हुने कुराहरु भयो.
The department had issued a public notice on April 13, stating that the rule would come into effect from the end of April and would apply to both domestically produced and imported goods. However, implementation has faced challenges. Importers have raised concerns over the practicality of the rule, with some reportedly delaying customs clearance of goods in protest. As a result, certain imported products have not been released from customs in recent days.
Hundreds of goods-laden trucks have been stranded at Biratnagar customs in eastern Nepal as the government enforces mandatory maximum retail price (MRP) labeling. The dispute has slashed customs revenue and sparked tensions between importers and custom officials. Subeksha Razak along with Mohan Malandar reports.
The maximum retail price MRP dispute at customs in Biratnagar in eastern Nepal has disrupted trade and revenue collection. The government's decision under the Consumer Protection Act requires all goods imported or domestically produced to display the MRP inclusive of all taxes. Since Tuesday, this policy has left around 250 trucks and containers stranded at the custom checkpoint. On Wednesday, the customs office managed to collect only about $341,000 in revenue, far below expectations. Customs Officer Bimal Shah said Biratnagar, being one of the major entry points for industrial raw materials, has seen nearly 10% of its revenue affected by the dispute.
MRP चाहिँ के छ भने पछिल्लो जुन हामीले सर्कुलर प्राप्त भएको छ त्यो सर्कुलर अनुसार के छ भने व्यावसायिक वस्तुहरुमा MRP अनिवार्य हुनुपर्छ भन्ने चाहिँ सर्कुलर छ जुन यो प्रोभिजन अनुसार अहिले भन्सार बिन्दुहरुमा आयात हुने खास गरेर कमर्शियल गुड्सहरुमा MRP अनिवार्य गर्नुपर्ने छ तथापि जुन चाहिँ इन्डस्ट्रियल र मटेरियलहरु छ त्यो इन्डस्ट्रियल र मटेरियलको हकमा चाहिँ यो कुरा लागू हुँदैन इन्डस्ट्रियल र मटेरियलहरु चाहिँ आयात भइरहेको अवस्था छ.
The situation has created a bottleneck at the integrated checkpoint. Advisor to the Biratnagar Customs Agents Association, Suresh Bohra, said about 200 containers are stuck in Biratnagar, with another 50 stranded on the Indian side.
अब कुनै सामान तपाईको आउने टाइम लाग्छ 15-20 दिन लाग्छन्. अब MRP को सिस्टम यहाँबाट लागू गर्दा ठीक देखिदैन. कार्यालय पैठारीकर्ताको गोडाउनमा गइसकेपछि त्यहाँबाट MRP ट्रान्स गरेर उपभोक्तालाई जानकारी हुने गरी maximum retail price को नियम आयो भने सबैलाई सहज हुने भन्ने कुरा हुन्छ.
These trucks carry goods worth nearly $32.9 million, including umbrellas, ready-made garments, machinery parts, and construction materials. The government on April 9th announced to strictly enforce the provision of all goods must carry MRP labels. While importers have criticized the move as impractical, industrialists in the Sunsari-Morang Industrial Corridor have welcomed the decision, saying it ensures transparency and consumer protection. For now, the standoff continues, with stranded goods piling up and customs revenue taking a hit. Traders are urging the government to reconsider the policy's implementation, while officials insist the law must be enforced.
That was our cover story of the day. Now we move on to the other updates. As the government is set to begin clearing encroached government land in the Kathmandu's Bolku area starting tomorrow, Assistant Chief District Officer of Kathmandu, Muktiram Rizal, said the clearance operation will be carried out in coordination with local authorities. He added that arrangements will be made by local governments to provide temporary shelter for citizens who do not own any land.
भोलिदेखि कर्मशः जहाँ जति यो जबरजस्ती सरकारी सार्वजनिक जग्गा चाहिँ लिएर अव्यवस्थित रूपमा बसेका बस्तीहरू छन् र त्यसरी बनाएर अरूलाई भाडामा लगाएका पनि छन् धेरै घरहरू त्यस्ता संरचनाहरूलाई चाहिँ अब भोलिदेखि हटाउने काम सुरु हुन्छ र अब अहिले काठमाडौँ जिल्लाभित्रको कर्मशः सबै ठाउँमा हटाउने भन्ने छ र त्यसमा चाहिँ अहिले हामीसँग उपलब्ध स्रोत साधन अनुसार चाहिँ भोलिदेखि बल्खु एरियाबाट हाम्रो सुरु गर्ने अहिलेसम्मको योजना रहेको छ र कर्मशः सबै स्थानीय तहहरूले यसको विवरणहरू सङ्कलन गरिराख्नु भएको छ र स्थानीय तहसँग चाहिँ समन्वय गरेर र उहाँहरूले आइडेन्टिफाई गरेका क्षेत्रहरूमा चाहिँ हटाउनमा अब जिल्ला सुरक्षा समितिको तर्फबाट आवश्यक सुरक्षा सम्बन्धी सहयोग चाहिँ यस कार्यालयले उपलब्ध गराउँछ।
A meeting of three opposition parties in the Nepal's federal parliament has drawn the attention of the government to the contemporary issues. The meeting, comprising Chief Whip of Nepali Congress Parliamentary Party in the House of Representatives Basana Thapa, Chief Whip of Nepali Communist Party Yuvraj Dulal, and CPN-UML Parliamentary Party leader in the National Assembly Prem Prasad Dangal, expressed concerns over the issues, including long-term solution to problems of landless quarters.
नेपाल सरकारले आफ्नो शासकीय सुधारको कार्ययोजनामा विद्यार्थी संगठनका गतिविधिमा नियन्त्रण गर्ने, प्रतिबन्ध लगाउने र खारेज गर्ने निर्णय गरेको छ। नेपाली विद्यार्थी र उनीहरूका संगठनहरूले मुलुकको लोकतन्त्र, गणतन्त्र, राष्ट्रियता, जनजीविका र शैक्षिक सुधारको क्षेत्रहरूमा अत्यन्त महत्त्वपूर्ण भूमिका खेलेको विषयमा कसैको दुईमत नहोला। तानाशाही पञ्चायती शासनकालमा होस् वा निरङ्कुश राजतन्त्रको समयमा उपरोक्त मुद्दा स्थापना र प्राप्तिमा विद्यार्थी संगठनहरूको भूमिका अहम रहेको थियो र छ। तर संगठनहरूको यस्तो भूमिकालाई नजरअन्दाज गर्दै वर्तमान सरकारले खारेजीको निर्णय गर्नु दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण विषय हो। त्यसैले विद्यार्थी संगठनहरू खारेज गर्ने सरकारको निर्णय अविलम्ब फिर्ता गर्न माग गर्दछौँ।
Nepal's Supreme Court has ordered the government to expedite investigations into transitional justice cases, directing authorities to swiftly conclude complaints filed with the Truth and Reconciliation Commission (TRC) and the Commission for the Investigation of Enforced Disappeared Persons. The ruling was issued Tuesday by a constitutional bench led by Acting Chief Justice Sapana Pradhan Malla alongside 4 other justices. The court also upheld the constitutionality of the Investigation of Enforced Disappeared Persons and Truth and Reconciliation Commission Act, 3rd Amendment 2081, stating it aligns with international standards and prior court rulings. The verdict comes in response to a writ petition challenging the amendment and calling for faster progress on long-pending cases from Nepal's conflict era. The decision is seen as a significant push to advance transitional justice efforts and address victims' demands for truth, accountability and closure. The contribution of the service sector to Nepal's economy has been increasing significantly in the last decade. According to a white paper released by the Ministry of Finance, the contribution of the service sector to the GDP in the fiscal year 2015-16 was 57.5%, but by the fiscal year 2024-25, it had increased to 62%. In contrast, the contribution of the agriculture and industry sectors has been gradually decreasing. During the same period, the contribution of the agriculture sector has decreased from 28.4% to 25.2%, while the contribution of the industry sector has been limited to 12.8% from 14.1%. Economists say that if the production-oriented sectors of agriculture and industry are weak, there is a risk that the country's self-reliance will decrease and dependence on imports will increase. Similarly, there has been a significant increase in remittance inflows in the current fiscal year. In the first 8 months of the current fiscal year, remittance inflows increased by 37.7% to 1.4 trillion rupees. Three top officials of Nepal's oldest university, Tribhuvan University, have stepped down from their positions. Vice-Chancellor Professor Dr. Deepak Aryal, Dean Professor Dr. Khadga Kesi and Registrar Professor Dr. Kedar Rizal submitted their resignations to the Prime Minister, who also serves as the university's Chancellor, today. According to Dean Kesi, the resignations have been formally registered at the Prime Minister's office and were made to support the functioning of the new government. The move follows a call by Rashtriya Swatantra Party Chairman Rabi Lamichhane urging officials appointed under the previous administration to step down. The cabinet has also recommended an ordinance to the president aimed at cancelling all political appointments, signalling broader institutional changes ahead. A unique women-only chariot pulling event took place this morning in Lalitpur as part of the annual Rato Machindra Chariot Procession, one of Nepal's most significant cultural and religious festivals. The initiative aims to create space for women, especially those who may not traditionally participate, to actively engage in the centuries-old celebration. Participants pulled the chariot from Lagankhel to Chardabato in Thati Dol, marking a vibrant and symbolic procession. Organizers say the event is particularly meaningful for single women, offering a moment of solidarity and joy during the coconut throwing day of the festival. Women from across the Kathmandu Valley and beyond gathered from early morning, turning the occasion into a powerful display of inclusion within a deeply rooted cultural tradition. Gangapurna Lake and Manang village, located in Ngisyang Rural Municipality 6 of Nepal's mountainous district of Manang, are becoming a center of attraction for tourists. Gangapurna is a natural lake located at an altitude of 3,540 meters above sea level. This lake was formed by the melting of the glaciers of the Gangapurna Himal. The lake is also attracting increasing tourist attraction because it is close to the village. In recent times, the effects of climate change have been seen in this lake. As the temperature increases due to climate change, the glaciers melt and cause landslides, which are causing the lake to become submerged. It has also become a center of study on the effects of climate change on the lake. Stakeholders have emphasized the need to pay attention to the conservation of the lake. Traditional Sanskrit Gurukul education is embracing modern technology and practical teaching methods. The Ramnadi Dham Gurukul in Syangja is blending ancient learning with yoga, meditation and modern subjects, attracting students from across provinces. Subeksha Razak with Himlal Neupane reports.
Centuries-old Sanskrit Gurukul system in Nepal is undergoing a remarkable transformation. Traditionally, Gurukul education was confined to rituals and theoretical learning of Sanskrit. But at the Ramnadi Dham Sanskrit Gurukul in Syangja, located on the scenic banks of Kali Gandaki River, students are now experiencing a blend of tradition and modernity. Established 6 years ago, the institution has introduced compulsory yoga, meditation, and practical learning from grades 6 to 12, aiming to foster positive mental energy and holistic development. Students dressed in monk-like attire attend classes not only indoors but also outdoors along the river banks, where they say the fresh air enhances concentration.
हामी चाहिँ बिहान र बेलुकाको समयमा भावगति ध्यान चाहिँ यही गंगाको तीरमा आएर नि गर्छौं र यसले हाम्रो मानसिक तथा शारीरिक ऊर्जा प्रदान गर्छ र हाम्रो यो शैक्षिक कार्यहरुमा चाहिँ यसले महत्त्वपूर्ण योगदान गरेको छ.
Alongside Sanskrit, Vedas and philosophy, subjects such as English, mathematics and science are taught with free residential facilities provided. After completing grade 12, students can pursue higher education in faculties of their choice. Currently, Syangja hosts 3 such religious schools with Ramnadi Dham accommodating 127 students. Its unique approach has attracted learners not only from Syangja but also from Palpa, Parbat, Rupandehi, Kapilvastu, Navalparasi, and Chitwan, making it a growing hub of innovation.
गुरुकुलमा एउटा संस्कृतको श्लोक मात्रै पढाएर अर्थ मात्रै पढाएर भन्दा पनि उनीहरूलाई चाहिँ अहिलेको आवश्यकता अनि उनीहरूलाई त्यो प्र्याक्टिकलमा पनि गराउनु आवश्यक भएकोले हामीले त्यो संस्कृतको श्लोक मात्रै नपढाएर उनीहरूलाई चाहिँ योग ध्यान अनि सिद्धिको बारेमा चाहिँ हामीले उनीहरूलाई चाहिँ यहाँ पनि प्र्याक्टिकलको रूपमा गराउँदा पनि हामीले अझै यसमा चाहिँ
This integration of modern technology and practical methods into the Gurukul model is redefining education, ensuring that students receive both spiritual grounding and academic advancement.
More international news coming up, but before that, let's have a recap of headlines. At least 20 killed in a jeep accident in western Nepal's Rolpa. Identity of deceased passengers being ascertained. Nepal's president issues cooperative ordinance, also consults legal experts on government-proposed ordinances. Kathmandu authorities to begin clearance of encroached settlements from tomorrow. Residents urged to vacate by morning. Nepal moves to fortnightly pay for civil servants. Budget and procedural hurdles raise concerns over smooth implementation. Iran's supreme leader defies US blockade as Trump says blockade can last months. Oil prices soar to a 4-year high. And Nepal facing UAE in a crucial ICC World Cup League 2 encounter tomorrow. Also must win the match to stay in ODI World Cup qualification race. Amid the sharp rise in oil prices following the escalating war in the Middle East, raising global alarm over energy supply and economic stability. The head of the International Energy Agency, Fatih Birol, said the spike in crude prices is already putting pressure on economies worldwide, with risks of rising inflation, higher fuel costs and slower growth.
The world is facing the biggest energy crisis in the history. And what is happening now shows that unfortunately we were right. The oil markets, gas markets are going through big difficulties. Oil prices now, when I looked last time, over $120, which is putting a lot of pressure on many countries. In addition to oil and gas, fertilizers, which is very important for developing countries, petrochemicals, sulfur, they are all interrupted. So our world is facing a major energy and economic challenge.
European Union spokeswoman Anita Hipper says that the deployment of US troops in Europe is in Washington's interest after US President Donald Trump threatened to reduce force numbers in Germany following a row with German Chancellor Friedrich Merz over the Iran war. Hipper adds that the United States is a vital partner in contributing to Europe's security and defense.
On the question, we will reiterate our position, which is long-standing in terms of US being a vital partner in contributing to Europe's security and defense. And the fact that the deployment of US troops in Europe is also in the US interest in support of its global role. At the same time, we have recognized, and this is what we have been doing, namely investing in our own security and defense. And you member states that are NATO allies are also increasing their defense spending in an unprecedented pace.
Press freedom has declined to its lowest level in 25 years, according to the latest annual ranking released by Reporters Without Borders, RSF. RSF Director General Thibaut Bruton warned that journalists across the world are increasingly facing legal and political pressure, with their work being criminalized through what he described as an expanding set of repressive laws. He said more journalists are reporting that their reporting is being targeted by authorities, contributing to a broader global deterioration in media freedom conditions. The report also highlighted a notable decline in the United States, which fell 7 places in the rankings, underscoring concerns over growing challenges to press independence even in established democracies. Harisov said the overall trend reflects a widening global crisis for journalism, with increasing restrictions, intimidation, and legal constraints placed on media professionals in multiple countries. Andrea Booner has been delivering mail by boat for the past 15 years in Germany's UNESCO-designated Spreewald Biosphere Reserve. From April to October, Booner follows a hybrid delivery system. She begins her shift in the morning using an electric vehicle to deliver packages in the nearby city of Lubino, before continuing her work in the afternoon by boat, transporting mail to households in Lede, a village accessible through the region's canal network. Using this combined road and water approach, she delivers approximately 600 letters and 80 packages per week to around 65 residences. Authorities say the system reflects the unique geography of the Spreewald region, where waterways remain an essential part of daily transport and logistics. Europe's most powerful rocket, Ariane 6, has blasted off the Guyana Space Center, carrying a new batch of broadband satellites into orbit. The launch, conducted by Arianespace, sent 32 satellites for Amazon's Amazon LEO network into low Earth orbit. The mission, known as VA268, marks the 7th flight of Ariane 6 and only the second using its most powerful configuration. Amazon LEO, previously called Project Kuiper, is designed to compete with Starlink, operated by SpaceX. While small in scale, the network is expected to deploy around 3,200 satellites over more than 80 launches. Thursday's mission follows a recent launch by United Launch Alliance using an Atlas V rocket as the race to expand global satellite internet coverage intensifies. Business news coming up next. For now, a short breather.
The European Central Bank holds its key interest rate as it warns that risk to growth and inflation had intensified as a result of the war in the Middle East. The longer the war continues and the longer energy prices remain high, the stronger is the likely impact on broader inflation and the economy, says Christine Lagarde, President of the European Central Bank.
The Governing Council today decided to keep the 3 key ECB interest rates unchanged. While the incoming information has been broadly consistent with our previous assessment of the inflation outlook, the upside risks to inflation and the downside risks to growth have intensified.
Energy prices have surged after major disruptions in the Strait of Hormuz, a key global oil route. Inflation in the Eurozone rose to 3% in April, above the CEB's 2% target, while growth slowed to just 0.1% in the first quarter. Analysts say the bank is likely to stay cautious, with UniCredit arguing there is no urgency to act as demand remains weak. Similar cautious stances were seen globally, with the US Federal Reserve and the Bank of England also holding rates steady amid economic uncertainty. Pakistan has opened 6 overland transit routes for goods destined for Iran, formalizing a road corridor through its territory as thousands of containers remain stranded at Karachi port because the United States blockade of Iran ports and ships trying to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. The Ministry of Commerce issued the Transit of Goods Through Territory of Pakistan Order 2026, bringing it into immediate effect. The order allows goods originating from third countries to be transported through Pakistan and delivered to Iran by road. The announcement coincided with Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Abbas Araghchi's visit to Islamabad for talks with Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and Army Chief Asim Munir, the latest in a series of diplomatic engagements as Pakistan seeks to mediate an end to the 2-month war between Washington and Tehran. Bali's largest landfill has been declared off limits for organic waste from the beginning of April as authorities move to enforce a long-standing ban on open dumping sites. However, the policy shift has led to an immediate waste management crisis with no adequate alternative disposal systems in place to handle organic garbage. As a result, trash has begun piling up in streets and residential areas across parts in the island. Local reports indicate that accumulated waste is attracting rats and other pests, while in several locations, frustrated residents have resorted to burning garbage. The practice has produced thick, acrid smoke, raising growing concerns over air quality and public health risk. Tech billionaire Elon Musk has faced intense questioning in a federal courtroom in Auckland as he battles OpenAI over its transformation from a non-profit research group into a profit-driven tech giant. Musk, a co-founder of OpenAI, alleges the firm abandoned its original mission and deceived him by becoming a commercial powerhouse behind ChatGPT. Under cross-examination, OpenAI lawyers challenged Musk's account, citing past communications suggesting he was aware of potential for-profit structures. The case targets OpenAI CEO Sam Altman and seeks to reverse the company's structure, remove leadership, and secure up to $134 billion in damages. A ruling from Judge Giovanni Gonzalez-Rogas is expected by late May in a case that could reshape the future of artificial intelligence governance and corporate control.
Now the sports update. Nepal's 10th Prime Minister's Cup NVA Women's and Men's Volleyball League, 2 already eliminated teams in the men's category, Koshi Province Volleyball Club and Khilji Youth Club, have secured their first victories of the tournament. On the 8th day of the National Sports Council's covered hall in Tribureshwar, Koshi Province defeated Buranilkanta Volleyball Club in a 3-1 set win. The match saw Buranilkanta take the first set 25-20 before Koshi bounced back to claim the next 3 sets 25-15, 25-17 and 26-24. The result marks Buranilkanta's 6th consecutive defeat in the competition. With no wins so far, Buranilkanta remains the only team yet to register a victory in the tournament. First leg encounter, high-scoring UEFA champion And now the weather updates, first from Nepal and then across the world. Before we wrap up, here's a reminder of our top stories. At least 20 killed in a jeep accident in western Nepal's Rolpa. Identity of deceased passengers being ascertained. Nepal's president issues cooperative ordinance, also consults legal experts on government-proposed ordinances. Kathmandu authorities to begin clearance of encroached settlements from tomorrow. Residents urged to vacate by morning. Nepal moves to fortnightly pay for civil servants. Budget and procedural hurdles raise concerns over smooth implementation. Iran's supreme leader defies U.S. blockade as Trump says blockade can last months. Oil prices soar to a 4-year high. And Nepal facing UAE in a crucial ICC World Cup League 2 encounter tomorrow. Also must win the match to stay in ODI World Cup qualification race. And that's it for this edition of the News Hour on NTV World. Do join us through our social media and get the latest updates from our official website, nepaltelevision.com. I'm Smriti Singh Tamang signing off. Thank you for staying with us. Good night.